in a few seconds.
Okay then.
Action.
Action.
No, action now. No, now. No, now. No, now.
Yeah, no.
Action.
Now.
We have one of those boards, like
Action.
Steve is still polishing his camera. Steve, I've got loads of questions about this, but let's not go there.
You've got to keep your camera polished, you know.
Don't you agree?
Good
live,
evening,
right?
everybody.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, everybody.
I think I'm the one who gets to say action, right? So
Yeah.
let's say action.
Excuse me.
Gesundheit.
Gezondheid.
It's not COVID.
So, what a year, people! What a year!
What a year for sure.
Yeah.
Next.
Let's next. let's celebrate. We can say goodbye to 2020, I guess.
Mm.
Let's just do this as normal and introduce everybody. To my right, and if I'm there, without Pauline and Lady Starlight, welcome.
Hello.
Joining us from Berlin.
Thank you for having me.
Looking
Good to
really
see you
nice,
all.
nicely lighted over there.
Oh wait, not yet.
Oh.
When it gets crazy, that's what's gonna happen.
Right.
Is that a Christmas tree vibe, or what is that? Your
I
normal
wish.
studio Atmo?
I have these those just the regular light bulbs that you can change everything. So it's really great. Especially since doing all these live streams, so you suddenly have to turn your studio into like a recording, a video shoot, a video set. So I was like, okay, let me get these lights. So it's very cost effective instead of getting like a special light. So, but now I can't figure out how to turn it off.
Hey, it would be nice if you could sync the rate of the flash to something.
MIDI.
TV, yeah.
Midify it. Boom.
Yeah, they should design this with the mobile phone.
Yeah, totally. There you go.
That would be super fancy.
When you answer the question about the syncing, maybe we'll all find out.
Actually, that is something.
But is he going to answer it? That's the question.
Yeah, actually, I was planning on spilling the information around that. So, how do they sync? Yes, I think some people have guessed some parts of it, but nobody guessed the whole thing. But let's talk about it when we have introduced everybody. To Lady Starlight, right? We have our friend Luke Slater. What's up, Luke?
Good evening. Good evening. Good to be here.
Very good second.
Good to be alive.
Second place for the best background tonight, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is England calling the EU. England calling the EU.
You're not allowed in. You're not allowed in.
It must cost a lot of money.
But cheers anyway.
Yeah.
Cheers, mate.
Yeah.
Cheers. How's your Dutch going? How's your Dutch going, Luke?
It's going
As good as the Brexit deal, or?
it's going goed zo.
Goed zo. Oh, wow.
Hey.
Impressive.
Can I hear the G again?
I beg your pardon?
Can I hear the G again? Of goed zo.
Goed zo.
Oh, it's a soft G. Welcome in my camp. It's a soft G.
Yeah.
Am I going south?
Yeah, fantastic. I love it.
Yeah,
I
well,
love
you
it.
know.
I love it.
Yeah, well, Heidi's from the south, isn't she? So,
Oh, is she? Oh, wicked. Where's she from?
Brabant. Near Den
Okay, well,
Bosch.
that needs a bit
Near
of
Den Bosch.
work, Luke. Brabant.
So,
Yeah, see.
so, Joachim, how would you say goed zo?
Goed zo.
Goed zo.
That sounds the same.
Goed zo. Yeah.
Goed zo.
You got a tough audience here, Luke.
Yeah.
Well, actually.
Yeah, that's it on the Dutch.
Well done. Well done.
Thank you.
It's more than nothing.
Let's welcome the other guest, Steffi, who's joining us from Portugal. with the most minimalistic background from all.
Yeah,
of us.
I'm very sorry. I'm all boxed up, so we're in transit. It's gonna look amazing, but it's all.
Yeah, it looks great now. It's
wrapped
very
up.
very simple. And
Yeah.
I like your haircut. or is that your
It's
headphones?
Leia.
Princess Leia.
Printed Leia, yeah.
Yeah. Boom. Not bad.
It's almost Metropolis, actually. I have to say.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why not? I mean, it gives.
Yeah.
It's at least we have a topic if we don't know what to talk about, right?
Okay, so it's Metropolis. Yeah.
Okay, keep the notes, Luke, while I introduce.
I'm doing it, man.
Yeah, while I introduce Steve Rockmut wearing Stoor uniform clothing. Hey, Steve.
Woo!
Welcome back.
Yeah, man.
Fancy.
Joining from Amsterdam, right? Again,
I hope.
Steve.
Oh, sorry.
Well,
Johnny from Amsterdam. Someone else.
Good to have you back. Hey,
Yeah,
say
back.
hello. Sergio is coming, saying hello. 30 drop. Robin is here. Robin Kampschoor. Hey,
Hey, man.
Robin.
Hey there.
What's up, Robin? You
All is well. Just working on stuff and from the picturesque Lelystad.
yeah. I saw you at some Stake festival somewhere.
So all is well here.
Nice. It's going to be a challenge not to mute each other while we are talking, but it's going to be a nice mayhem. I don't care. It's fine.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So next guest, Fritz Schneider, joining us from the cutting room. Hey, Fritz, what's up?
Hey there. Hey, man.
I'm all right. So sitting down in a place I know quite well. So yeah, it's okay here. It's fine, cozy. Like be alone. I like it. Like I'm never alone basically, but that's another story. Okay. Good night, everybody.
I'm happy to hear your real voice, by the way, for once now.
What did you say?
That I'm happy to hear your real voice now.
Yeah, I know. But it changed by the mood, so...
Okay.
And last but not least, Sander.
Sander.
Yeah.
Good evening.
Sander and Fritz, both Stoor team members.
You
Sander
should
is
see
always
me
the
waving
person.
in the back somewhere.
Yeah, behind me.
Yeah.
Over there. Here.
Good evening.
Nice to see you on camera, Sander. Once for this time.
Rare occasion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Say something.
What should I say? How are you all doing? What are we going to talk about?
I don't know.
I see a lot
you
of
tell
people
me.
saying hi to me. So hi, people.
Okay. Well, there you go.
It looks like you're in a submarine or something with this red light.
Hey, bro.
Right. So, what are we going to
start?
talk about? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Somebody
we
asked
did-
us a good question.
Yeah, let's get some help from the audience.
To the panel here. The question for the panel here.
Yeah, it's only going to be a question tonight. Maybe, I don't know.
Maybe.
According to the
Random
social
questions,
media,
yeah.
we were going to talk about illegal fireworks and oliebollen. So
Yeah. Oh.
Olieboller.
Who's
I
having
cannot
olive
talk about it and not eat them at the same time. I'm sorry. That's
it's
too
legal.
hard.
Are there any oliebollen in Portugal? Steph?
Oh, I wish no. Yeah, well, there's all kinds of sweet fried stuff, so there must be something similar. When
Well,
we,
you have.
I'm gonna find that tomorrow. I'm gonna do my
Is it-
first.
Isn't it? It is just fried dough, isn't it? It's nothing.
Yeah.
Isn't it just like a huge? When I've analysed it, it's just a ball donut soaked in fat.
Yeah.
Exactly that.
Yeah, like a
Beautifully
deep
put.
with racing.
It's like,
Yeah, but that is the reason why I all eat my fireworks and I exploded my oliebol.
Okay then.
Yeah, it's allowed.
Well, there you go.
Yeah,
That's where your weird voice comes from. In the end.
right.
yeah,
I already
that's what
tried
it does to
something.
you. Yeah.
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 Well done.
Fantastic.
Right. Well, that's oliebol and fireworks checked off the list. Let's go see what everybody's drinking. Colleen is having a sip from what?
We're going DJs and beers now.
Yeah.
No more weirdos and wines.
Yeah, vice beer.
Weirdos and wines.
There we go.
Coffee
Yeah, there
and
you
go.
maybe a little bit
Yeah.
of sake later on, and that's it.
And I have a very spicy ginger beer.
I wish I had wine.
Yeah, and I've got a
For me.
split around also.
Hey, John is here as well. Hey, John.
Hey.
Dutch party words.
Yeah,
Be a
man.
Dutch party
Oh, wow.
word
Oh,
to
that's a
begin with.
great. Hi, John. That's a great question. Thank you.
John,
Oh,
how you doing,
off.
buddy?
Also known as my personal Vogue dancer.
Yeah.
He's a very good Vogue dancer. I don't know if
Yeah,
I'm
I know,
allowed to
yeah.
say it, but
Yeah.
good dancer, John. I miss you.
Well, John, if you want to join us, just
Yeah.
have your
What is
laptop.
it?
Yeah, have your laptop ready, and we'll send you the link.
Yeah, John,
Yeah.
get on.
Because
I'll
I'm
get
always
you on,
concerned
John.
He's
about
in the next room.
Yeah,
Is he?
I'm always
What is
concerned
it?
about. I always
What is
like
it?
symmetry with 4 people. Now we have
Yeah,
8, and it sounds like a symmetrical number, but on screen, of course, it's
It doesn't.
we need
Well, we
one
have
extra person to
We
make
have a
the
problem though because Mike is also up, so we would have to get rid of the symmetry then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, we have to.
Fantastic.
yeah. If Mike or John or whoever is in there wants to join, just send us a message somewhere, and we'll get it in.
I'm already getting them in.
Okay.
maybe we
I'm
can
on this.
do one screen is to rotate people in and out, like
Roulette.
carousel
Yeah,
of
carousel.
mystery
Yeah.
guests.
Or like the Brady Bunch.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can sort of push everybody over like this.
But I'm still wondering, what is a Dutch party?
A Dutch
What was the
party.
question?
Yeah,
That's quite a word.
yeah, but no. In fact, a Dutch party. What is that? I know there are words on a Dutch party, but what is a Dutch party?
I don't know.
One with oliebol, I guess.
Yeah,
Carnival,
I have
carnival.
No idea.
Yeah. Carnival can be.
Carnival, ja, toch?
Yeah, that one. Yeah. I remember that one from the beginning. From
Wow.
How many people can you fit on the screen? I think StreamYard, that's the thing we use.
Mike.
We can have
Mike,
10. Yeah, 10 is
We
the
can
max.
have 10 people in here and 10 on the screen max.
Okay.
Unless we move
So
people
who's
to
gonna
sit next to each other, then we can have more.
first?
yeah.
it's elbowing.
Are you trying to invite someone else just to so it's fits
So we
in
have some.
the,
There is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We have
Yeah.
topics.
basically.
what an invitation!
Yeah.
Would you like to come on because we got a square missing?
Because I'm OCD and it doesn't fit. But I was actually, in reality, I was thinking the same thing. I was like, it's off.
So today,
For my part, this is all deep fake.
today's discussion will be symmetry, I guess.
Yeah.
So this is the last days, isn't it? Of
For 2020, yeah.
of
How is it?
anything that never happened before.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know?
The
Yeah.
last day of a new era, right?
The last day of the year that wasn't.
Yeah.
The year it wasn't, exactly.
Or the year that was,
Yeah. Nah.
right?
Alright.
Yeah, as well, in a way.
I mean, it's over after tomorrow, but it isn't. I guess.
That's very scratchy on the mic.
Yeah, somebody's like beatboxing. Beatboxing.
I don't know. Maybe it's this guy.
probably.
It's Fritz again.
Hey, John. Hey.
Yay.
John Astor.
Okay,
Dancer
then.
in the corner.
What's
Hey!
up, everybody?
Yeah,
That's better. Everyone fits in now, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oof.
Well done.
Where's Malcolm
Yes.
McLaren? Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah, exactly. Malcolm
Yeah.
McLaren,
Not Madonna. Not Madonna, for the people who didn't know.
No.
Doing what I can. Doing what I
She
can.
stole it. She stole it.
She stole it, man.
She stole it. Bastard.
If
Too late,
Rod
man.
is satisfied, we all are, right?
Okay, we got the symmetry worked out now. So now we have to get the topics worked out. What should we... John, coming to the rescue. What should we
John
do?
coming to the
There I
rescue.
am.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, Jan. Go in the deep.
Hello, hello. Yeah, I got
John.
the double audio for a second there with the YouTube video still playing in the background. Who turned on the delay machine? Oh, that's something I did. Hello.
Awesome.
We could start with this horrible question.
Wow.
At least I personally always hate this question.
Well, then you answer it.
Then I'll answer it first. I don't have any, to be honest. I never do New Year's resolutions. But I guess I'll get a vaccine in 2021. That might be a good resolution. I don't know.
Anybody here with a really strong
Being against it.
New Year's
fight me.
resolution?
No, okay.
Yeah, do some gigs.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, number one. Be in front, you know, be with people out there,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
There's not much.
like a
There's not
dream.
much of a there's not much of a resolution, Luke, is it? It's not in your hands. We want to know something that's in your hands that you're gonna do.
That I can manipulate into.
Yeah, exactly.
something-
Exactly.
You have
something,
any
yeah.
influence on, yeah.
Yeah, I know that doesn't really work for me on New Year's resolutions. I find there's too much pressure on the change of the year. I normally leave it till about June when I'm less expecting it. So much pressure to do something for the new year, isn't there?
Yeah, true.
You know,
I completely agree.
just slip it in there when no one's looking.
Yeah.
You wait for the holiday rush to be over.
Yeah.
The crowds are
And then
thinned down a
right as
little bit.
Right as you're about to do it, too, you know, like in June. No, I think I'm going to do this thing. Oh, I had this resolution. Oh, I've just done that. Okay, that's great. Done. Check.
Yeah.
Like a secret one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
about you, Steve? You got anything
Yeah.
planned for the next year?
Cleaning camera.
To leave. I was still working on it, but I think it's too strong. Yeah, my resolution is to leave 2020 far behind. That's the only one I have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this is a good one.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good answer.
Yeah, that's really
Perfect.
good actually. Yeah.
I mean, as sucky as the year was, a lot of really interesting things happen as well, you know? I mean,
That is true.
I would never have thought that I would be with my mug on some video stream.
36 times this
But
year.
as it turns out, you know, it's been sort of the only option really to keep in touch with friends and colleagues and stuff. So it's been good, you know. So I don't know. Yeah, we'll definitely continue this even when things go sort of back to a little bit more normal at some point.
Mhm.
Well, this is an interesting question.
Can you guys?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
What kind of
try.
wave, Colin? A sine wave, a square wave, a pulse wave? What do you want?
The wave.
Sine wave. Sine
Yeah,
wave.
yeah, like
Yeah, the wave.
Never mind. Never mind.
Yeah,
Maybe-
you have to start.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm pretty.
I'm up
Yeah.
for it. Let's do
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. Oh, come on,
We
one.
need to go.
Hey.
Pass it to me, Joachim. Pass it to me.
Hey, Colleen. There you go.
I was going the
Yeah,
wrong
yeah,
way. Isn't it?
We fill up.
Outside. That's mirrors.
Yeah, yeah.
That was bad.
So it's more difficult than we thought.
Can't say we didn't try.
Exactly.
Exactly.
For effort.
It's about a gesture. That's everyone about
Yeah, see.
There you go.
We knew this was good. Well,
what headphones?
Yeah, exactly. I started out with these, but they weren't working. They were giving feedback. So I pulled out the studio headphones because my Sennheiser ones are broken, and these are. We just found out on camera how big these are. But they're really nice. They're really nice. You kind of just a little bit of a tech thing before we start to go back to being silly. Basically, these Audis headphones, they're really like a one-on-one situation when you have to be in the studio, but you don't have access to proper monitors. So that's why I decided to get these. But that's no particular reason why I'm wearing them now. It's just because of the AirPods not working. So.
Do they work?
And it looks good.
The headphones?
No, it looks ridiculous.
No, I think they look good, Steph, actually, to be
I think it looks good.
I'm a big fan of huge headphones.
It makes my head look small, which is something I need, so it's not bad. It's not all bad. It's got a thick head.
They look about as serious as headphones get. They actually look like the headphones emoji that have the...
Yeah,
totally.
Maybe if I do this. It's better, no?
But do you really hear a lot of difference with cheaper headphones?
Compared to...
There's a name change.
Who's fucking with my screen there? No, seriously. Just explain a little bit. Like when I first moved to Portugal and I was still living in Berlin, we didn't really have a good studio here. We're now building a new one, which is quite exciting. So I took these to be able to work when I was being in Portugal and traveling up and down. So this was a good solution to get us close to a proper monitor or listening system to be able to at least do some work. So yeah, they're worth it.
Can you trust headphones? Personally, I can't, but
I can't.
I know some people can.
I can't. But when I got these, I was like, "Wow, that's pretty impressive." Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's good. But apart from the frequencies that I'm missing, maybe anything is impressive because it's not really good. My situation, unfortunately. But yeah, no, they're really, really wonderful. Yeah. So it was. It's not that somebody, pushed them in my hands and go, "You got to get these because it's fancy and blah." No, I just tried it out and it was really worth my while. Really comfortable to work with. So. But I didn't expect them to wear tonight. But at least we already made a bridge of 10 minutes talking about my headphones. So it's a bit of good, commercial break.
It's a good link into the next topic.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is the major question that everyone's wondering about, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that is...
Right, Jochem?
Oh, you mean the sync? How do they sync?
What's your skincare routine, Jacob?
But how do they
asking.
Okay, well, I guess some people have been guessing parts of it. So and we've come up with really funny, stupid, childish names to sort of distract people from the actual technology that is involved. But it's really simple. So basically.
It's really simple.
It's simple, but there are a few extra steps that are involved. Why people didn't guess what it was, but basically the heart of it is Reaper. Reaper has this is a DAW, and it comes with a plugin called Ninjam.
Just a second.
And that's basically what we use to take care of the latency problem, because everybody is basically asking about how do they sync, but the sync is not the issue. Sync would never be an issue. You can just play stuff at the same time as long as you can hear the other person's audio. You can sync to it, because if you have two sides, the side where the stream feed is coming from needs to be in sync. That's basically all it is. But Ninjam works by taking care of the latency by delaying the signal to both sides by 2 bars. And now in any repetitive music, 2 bars isn't that much, So audio I'm sending to the person I'm jamming with is arriving there 2 bars later and the other way around. But if you do a change in the music, it basically is real time where you are, but it's 2 bars later at the other end, and it's vice versa. And funnily enough, with the sort of stuff that you do, like repetitive electronic music, it's not really that much of an issue. And I can ask Robin or Luke, who've been doing these jams with me, and it's pretty much like after 10 minutes you are not even thinking about that you're not in the same room, right? I mean, it wasn't that difficult. Some things were unexpected, but not to the point where it becomes incoherent or anything. It just keeps looping and looping, and things evolve slowly. So it's it's a bit less immediate in terms of dropping something like on a certain moment, but you just sort of go along with the other person and just listen really well to what the other person does, and it kind of complement each other. That's how it feels. In my to me anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I think jam is the important word. Is to the concept of jamming in that situation really works well, because you're not really trying to arrange anything in particular. You're trying to feed all the time off what's going on. And I thought syncing up in that way worked really well.
Yeah, and actually the syncing, to come back to that. So Mike Rotte is asking, how do you mix it together? But basically, the mixing is done in the plugin. So you have this plugin which connects to a server that both clients, Ninjam clients, are connected to, and that's where the latency thing is taken care of. Plus, the audio is summed there. So you're basically both listening to whatever happens in Ninjam. That's the two signals combined. And if you set the levels right in the plugin, if you have the same levels there, like monitoring level and local level and master level, if you've set everything at the same levels, basically, then you basically hear the same thing on both sides.
Taken care of, yeah.
Yeah, you hear everything perfectly. You're listening to the same stream, basically. But then there is an extra, so there is this extra thing we had to do, because Ninjam has some presets for servers you can log into, and those are public. So it wouldn't work if we would use one of those servers, because other people might just jump in and start joining.
It's actually quite fun, no?
It can be.
You don't know who you're going to get. It's like blind dating. It's like a dark room, a musical dark room. I'm up for that.
Yeah, okay. Well, let's do one with you then, Steffi. And you can
sure.
Dark room server.
Bring it on.
Or dark room.
Studio chat roulette.
Yeah.
It's an idea, but I mean, for the it's too unexpected, I guess. If you just go there, go to Ninjam, log into one of these servers, and then I promise you don't. Sometimes you don't enjoy. Anyway, but so then there's so that's an extra step we had to take. So we have help from our friend Michiel Stream Nerd in Eindhoven, and he helped us setting up the server, and we're using his server space actually to run it, which is great. I mean, you can do it yourself, but it takes a lot of things. You have to open ports on your router, and the whole configuration takes place in the text file. If you make one typo, the whole thing doesn't work. So, it's basically, if you have a friend who is good in these things, then it's better to have it set up by somebody who knows what he's doing. And then there is one extra step that I take on my side, which is not looped back to the person I'm jamming with, which is that I split the signal that is coming out of Ninjam, so the combined signal of both parties who are jamming, and I run it through an extra channel on another mixer, which is basically connected to the input device that goes to the stream, and I have basically the power to cut the bass and to do some effects like DJ style. I don't really use that very often, but it does make a difference in making the whole thing more dynamic. Only that part, that last audio treatment, cannot be looped back to the person who's on the other side. So basically, that's something I only hear. And but again, I'm not using it all over the place, so it's never really a big surprise. or it doesn't really sort of mess up the jam, but it does sound better in the end. So that's the whole story. It's a pretty simple thing.
But it was fun that everybody was guessing the whole time, and we came up with names, like I don't know what, whole fruit, whole fruit.
Yeah, mango tether.
Yeah, like
Mango
that.
tether, yeah.
For me, it was like great, and even that people start to let's say, going to look for it, on the internet. It was just fun.
No.
Yeah, they really
There's
did.
never been as
Yeah,
many
that's true.
people googling mango tether as in the last few weeks.
Exactly.
So I guess if that explains it to everybody, and maybe we'll do a little video on it sometime and make the
Yeah, because
setup guide.
I was going to ask, like, can we look it up somewhere, or did you
Well, you can, yeah, you can.
stored?
No, you can just download. Reaper, and
No, I mean your session, because you did a session with it as well, didn't you? Like,
Oh, you mean the actual sets? Yeah, they're on YouTube.
yeah. Ah, okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Sander, link.
Yeah.
Link.
YouTube.com/StoorLab. Done.
Ah, okay.
So oh yeah, and then the syncing, of course, that is, like I said, it's not an issue. And what I can hear coming in from the person that I'm jamming with, I'll just use my Octatrack unsynced and just on its own clock, and I sync to it manually. So like I do with my live sets, it's if I use the Octatrack, I like it when it runs on its own clock, so I can push and pull the tempo. Sometimes there's a bit of friction, but it's fine. So the funny thing is, everybody was asking how we synced, and that's just old style DJ handwork. But you could do it. You could put the Reaper. You could use Reaper on both sides as a master clock. Actually, in Robin, the one I did with Robin, we used Reaper as a master clock, but I found it more unreliable than just to do it by hand, because if something starts to run out, you have
It's
to
some sort of
restart.
drift, and you have to restart.
And that is just more messy than just nudge it and keep it in sync by hand.
Yeah.
So so that's easy if you can sync by hand, but it's not a big issue if you DJ, I guess.
No, true.
I must
So
say,
let's do one, Steffi.
Huh?
Let's do one together.
Yeah,
When the studio is set
my
up.
head is going like bear. Yeah. When I'm set up, I'm all ready for this. It
So
sounds amazing.
Yeah.
I wasn't informed
It's
about
really,
this.
really nice to do.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
How does next Sunday sound?
Well,
I'll tune in. Go on, Steph.
Challenge.
I'm up for it, but all I have is a piano now and a lot of dust.
That'll be
So I have
interesting.
to, yeah, I have
So
to
less
wait.
worry about syncing then.
Yeah, true though. Yeah, I have to wait for some proper windows to arrive. And it's just Portugal, so everything is amanhã. So it takes a little bit of time.
Okay.
Well,
Off topic. Like to get carpet is something that hardly exists here because we all have tile floors here because of the climate, and it's just a thing, And I want carpet in the studio, and this has been a mission for the last 4 weeks to get proper carpet in my studio. And now I found something, and they said like, "Oh no, we don't have it on the roll. That takes like 4 weeks to arrive." I'm like, wow. Okay. So if you ever too hasty in your life, you just have to move away from Western Europe, and then you have to wait for literally everything. So
Carpet is definitely a weird concept in Spain and Portugal.
I was about to put that one in.
Oh yeah, well, somebody says like I don't have the proper Portuguese context. Well, let me tell you this: I need a roll that is bigger than 4 meters long. So the standard roll of carpet.
Maybe
is
Gustavo
4,
can
I
hook
need
you up.
5.
Gustavo.
Hook me up.
Do you want me
Please.
to pop up north to the to the manufacturers of woven textiles?
If you
It's
would
very nice
not
English
mind,
tweed.
Yeah, if you would not mind, I would appreciate that look. You know,
Okay,
if you could do that. Like,
yeah,
that would
I'm not allowed
really
out,
nice.
but you know.
That's all right. That's
you
all
know.
right. We'll ship it. We'll ship it. You know.
Yeah, I'll give him a ring.
Oh, that would be really good. Thanks.
Yeah,
See?
like that pile
Problem
that
solved.
high, so you can hide a kitten in it.
No, but seriously, it's like it's challenging.
Technical question.
Well, yeah. Let's talk more disco as a question. If you're reacting to by adjusting the clock and this always a bit behind, does it mean that the other person can never fully be in sync? No. The thing is, okay. So on my side, I just get an audio stream, and it doesn't really matter where it is in the phase or how delayed it is. You know, I just sync to it by hand. So it's the syncing is dealt with by hand, and because I'm playing at the same speed, the other person is getting the signal delayed by 2 bars from me. So
then it's compensated again.
Yeah, it's true though that if you have 2 local sources and sync by hand, the change in how the phase is between the 2 sources is immediate. But if you getting a signal from another person, which is 2 bars behind, and sync to that, there is a bit of a delay in the reaction of how the phase sort of gets on the grid. But I mean, that's just a minor thing, you know. It's and it's never really more than a few milliseconds out of sync, you know, unless I fucked up, but that hasn't really happened so far. But so no, both people exactly hear the same thing, but you hear each other's signal delayed by 2 bars. That's basically all it is, and the sync is really no issue. That's just a DJ thing.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. So we have a actual gear-related question.
What?
Oh shit! Favorite gear.
Oh.
Wait a
2
minute.
hours later.
There's another thing. So Split Riddick says the other person is a recording you sync up to. No, it's really live. So we're both doing this at the same time.
It's all done in real time. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a real jam, like you would be in the same room. It's only the only difference is 2 bars.
I mean, sorry, but this is a good question, right?
That is a great question. Come on.
I can confirm it's natural, guys. It's all natural.
Oh, but that gives me another question. How come you confirm this?
Oh, don't worry, I can confirm it as well.
Oh, God.
Exactly.
Well, there's some gray hair in there, but it doesn't show on the camera. So anyway. Let's see. So did we explain everything to everybody's satisfaction about the sync?
I think more or less, but if people have questions, then bring it on, you know.
Yeah.
Let's see.
But yeah, I mean, there's nothing as good as the real thing. But because, you know, the one Steve and I did and Luke and I did here locally, you know, that is a different thing, right? I mean, if you feel the energy of the other person in the room, and it's more real. But you know, it doesn't really make that much of a difference musically, because you just respond to whatever you hear. Yeah, but it does make a difference to have a real person to work with in the room, you know.
But it's quite impressive how technology and technology in general jumped on the whole new situation of a lockdown in a positive sense, you know. Like I think there's a massive positive outcome.
Yeah, true.
If you for a second eliminate the financial trouble of people and all that kind of stuff. I mean, that people start to get really creative because there's a limitation in all our possibilities, you know, when it comes down to collaborating and all that kind of stuff. And you could see that there were either people moaning about how bad the situation was, and there was a camp of people that were like, "Hey, let's do this and let's do that." I mean, Joachim, you're an example with the knob twiddlers, but not only this, like there were a lot of people trying to push the boundaries and move forward within the limitation. I think that's a very positive thing, to be honest. You know, it's also a way to deal with grief of a horrible situation.
Yeah,
you
I
know,
saw some meme that was saying something like, "Could you imagine if this pandemic had hit in 2003 and everyone only had the choice of playing Snake on their Nokia phone?" And
yeah,
but exactly, yeah.
Yeah, but it's true though.
Absolutely, that's a really good point. I mean, that would have been absolutely terrible. Yeah,
we have a lot of technology now to link up and communicate and jam live in remote locations. That's
totally. If you would ask somebody who was in the Second World War, would look at you going like, I have a friend, she's 82, she's going like, people are comparing this to a war. They have no idea. I'm like, no, I completely understand, you know, like this is a generation. I mean, this, of course, this slows us down, but at the same time, there's new initiatives that
there's so many other opportunities.
Born. Yeah. It's a silver lining, you know, in the end of the day. Like, and I've seen some amazing things happening where I'm just like, oh, let's not just go like, oh, let's throw everything away kind of vibe, you know. But there's also people that came up with like positive, creative initiatives and online jamming and syncing and whatever, you know. I find that very positive.
Yeah. In fact, in general, when I've sort of looked back and sort of looked at musicians and entertainers really going through this, even though it's probably been the worst year where, you know, your actual industry has been totally taken away very quickly. I've got to say the majority of people I've come across have been very positive in trying to find different things to do, different ways to put something across, to write, to perform, to you know, hooking up with other people. And actually hooking up with other people is, to me, it's been fast forwarded this year.
Absolutely.
You know, it probably would have taken 5 or 6 years to get something like this together in normal times.
Exactly.
Because of this year, everything's been accelerated, and which is actually a great thing. You know, so I don't hear that many moaners when it comes to musicians, even though, you know, musicians are one of the hardest affected jobs.
Absolutely. And the last ones to start in the end of the day. Last ones to start.
Yeah.
We're going to be the very last ones to be able to go back in. Yeah. But that's very true what you're saying, Luke. Like I've never released so many records on my label than in 2020, and it's been amazing. And people have been sending me stuff, and I had the patience to curate loads of stuff and listen and talk to them and not forgetting stuff. And you know, people from the distribution ringing me up like, are you going to finally, oh yeah, sorry, I was away, blah, blah, blah. Because I had all the time in the world, and that made me kind of like rewire my brain as well, just like realizing how important it is that it's not all about a busy schedule, it's all about the details in the end of the day. So there's much more time for...
it's interesting.
Yeah, because nobody
like that. Yeah.
Nobody produces music in front of an audience, so you know what I mean. If you're like, it's easier, and we've all been there where we're making music and we're performing for no one. So if you are accustomed to maybe just being like, you know, just if you're only, you know, we all make music, and I mean, I enjoy making music more than I enjoy performing or DJing. So if that's the case, then this is just fine, except for the money.
Sure. Sure. Yeah, totally.
Is there many albums going to be coming from you guys?
Just 10.
I'm not the only one. I'm working on one as well, so let's see where that goes. Yeah.
Luke's gonna remix every catalog of every label ever exists.
Bring it on.
Nice.
Have you been sending me the stuff you've been releasing, Steffi?
Of course not. Why would I?
Thank you very much.
I'm thicker than the old Berlin Wall when it comes to sending out stuff. Like I'm horrible. Like I even let people buy it. Like I'm a big provocateur of explaining to people that, like, if you buy the file, the artist gets half of the money and the label can press another record. But if there's anything that you would like to hear, Luke, then I'm more...
No, there's nothing.
More than welcome.
I don't hear anything.
I'm more than welcome to give you the clone website to check.
My headphones aren't working.
Oh, bloody hell.
Let's see, we have a question for Steve here as well. I actually don't know.
Oh, well, read it for the podcast.
For the podcast. Question to Steve. I love the live set with Jochem, and then I heard in an Twiddlers episode that this approach was new to you. Have you did more live-ish stuff since? Have you done more live stuff since? So basically, have you done any more live performing or live?
Actually, we had two more planning together with Jochem and Colin Benders until there was a new rules lockdown.
The ADE thing.
Both councils.
Yeah.
So no, I didn't. Or maybe Jochem and I can do one together again.
Yeah, but if I would love to, man. But the thing is, you are one of the people who can actually reach the studio. So I would rather do one real live.
Do a physical one.
Yeah, sure. Let's do another one.
We can do one with 2 people on one side and 2 people on the other side. Yeah, we can have Colleen and John and Steve and Jochem.
Technically, it's possible, but if musically it would make sense, but it's possible technically. Yeah. To be honest, it's already quite a lot of information to process if you're just with one person, because it's
Yeah, that is true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because things are coming 2 bars later. You are kind of keeping the door open for surprises, you know, and you don't go as fast as you would normally go. Getting feedback. Who is that?
Yeah.
Is that?
But Steve, for you, it's very I don't think I've ever seen you play live, right?
I never did.
No.
It was completely when Jochem asked me, I just said yes. Well, I never done it before.
Yeah.
I didn't tell Jochem either. And he found out a few days before that it was my first time. And
you didn't even tell me. I thought, okay, well, let's ask Steve. You know,
it's Corona time, so it was like,
who cares? No, it's a pretty ballsy move, man. Just to show up with.
I loved it. I found out that I never want to do it prepared. I want to do it on the fly, how we did. Nothing was prepared. Just I brought some stuff, and that was it. Just press start, and we see where we go and end.
Yeah,
it's perfect.
It works. Yeah, absolutely.
It's I call it the lazy way. It's perfect.
The new future, like you're never gonna go back on the road. Just do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Steve, next month.
Yeah. That's an idea for Mike Rothead. We can do WSNWG versus Stoor. Some jam between his studio and Stoor studio. Yeah, why not? Let's do it.
We can do it marathon style as well, right? Like pass the torch style.
As the Fed style. Yeah, that's maybe a possibility. Yeah, that we do a long one with several people from different locations, but not all at the same time.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's where my studio comes in.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
When we have an actual torch, though. Actual torch we can handle.
Studio.
Sorry, what?
I could go to Mike's studio. I'm inviting myself, Mike.
Yeah. Well, that's sorted then.
We should make this happen.
Yeah, see, that's a good initiative, no?
Yeah, I mean, I'm totally up for that. It's going to be a bit more complicated because I've never tried to have so many people in the server. You know,
I think it will work though. It will definitely work.
True. I mean, the thing is, when you do estafette style, somebody has to pick up, take over, and retain the tempo. So it needs to be somebody who can sync by hand as well. Who has the gear to do that. The only thing I got in my studio which does that is the electron gear, which lets you push and pull the tempo. But there's not all machines do that. Maybe you could do something
my analog rhythm does it as well.
Yeah.
My analog rhythm I can push and pull as well.
Yeah.
Fine tune of an 808, maybe quickly up and down.
No. It's impossible to keep it steady, unless you're Jeff Mills, I guess. Well, fine tune is actually changing the tempo permanently, and push and pull is just giving a nudge. So the tempo is the same. The clock is very stable as well on these electron machines. So it's
so what you're saying is someone needs to be the fat controller in a way to keep an eye on.
Yeah,
keep an eye on the main.
Somebody needs to have the role as the person who sings to the other person, and it doesn't really matter where in what side that happens. But if you would do, let's say you and I start, and then Colleen and Steffi or Steve join in, I don't know, and they take over. They need to be able to start in the mix basically, and get the tempo synced up before they can.
But if it's still. The server still sends out a clock as well.
Yeah.
So if they would like what?
Oh yeah. Do my. Yeah, sorry, Robin. Go on.
No, it sounds like you bring what does he have? Oliebol or something?
Yeah, Oliebol.
Oh, yay! But indeed, with an analog rhythm or an octatrack with nudging helps. But if we still sync to the tempo of the server that you and I did as well, then people could also still, like in the Ninjam client, they could click this thing that their equipment would restart on a certain count.
Yeah, but I mean, you and I both found out that it is.
It's not ideal. It's not ideal.
No, because every maybe 20 times you start, 90 times are out of sync.
Yeah, okay.
They are in the right tempo, but they're not in the right phase. So you have to you have to just keep on going until you get lucky, and I find that a really uncomfortable way of dealing with it. Because it doesn't feel trusty. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So just started by hand. And
be a lot better.
Yeah, like it's not that hard, No. But you have to have a clock that allows that, basically. So but yeah. Anyway, let's see. The other thing I don't know if I think we'd have to test it, but I think if you have all these people in the same client, you will hear all the signals always, So you have to kind of stay there to keep the signal okay, if you know what I mean. I don't know what happens if you check out or if you disconnect, if the latency changes or anything. I don't know. That's something we have to test.
Yes,
I found out, like last weekend I was doing one last Sunday with Stanislav Tokachev. Yeah. And I had the tempo of the session in Ninjam at 133. Yeah. And we both decided to play at 135. We thought, that would be better. And I mean, since we've been completely disregarding the clock in Reaper, I thought I would change the tempo in hardware. But then the latency is actually not compensated in the right way because the session things you're playing at 133.
Yeah.
So it delays the signal in a different measure, in a different amount of delay. And we couldn't figure out what it was until I changed the tempo of the session to 135 as well, and then everything worked. So
it's good to know, though.
Yeah, something I learned. It was a bit panicky because till about half an hour before we started streaming, we were kind of.
But it's still in time.
It's still in time. We made it in time. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a legend. That's a legend.
Yeah.
With the
Okay, well,
legend.
maybe this is a good way. So Sander, people know Sander at least by name because he's been appearing sometimes in the background of the show, and he's very prolific on the Discord server. But Fritz is our other Stoor member, studio member, and he takes care of the cutting the vinyl. So
Yeah.
Fritz Schneider is the vinyl cutter.
Yeah, I just
The
found
final
out
Snyder.
that we, about 5 years ago or something, we started up somewhere in the Black Forest in Germany with this crazy guy, Sauri, I remember. And he told us to learn how to cut records with this machine we bought with him. So that's a bit of story about Fritz.
and that's how you came back from that experience, wasn't it?
What did you say?
Yeah.
In a balaclava and sunglasses. That's the experience.
Yeah. Yeah. Otherwise, you get blacklisted by Sauri, and you don't want it.
Yeah.
Okay.
You have to remain anonymous.
Yeah.
Part of the
Exactly.
Once you
training.
know the secret, you have to keep everything secret.
Yeah, something like that. So I make this promise and I signed for it. So okay.
Well, you can answer this question
Does
because
Fritz
the
have his
latest
own-
right behind you.
Yeah, so Fritz is actually in the cutting room. So behind, in the background, you can can you maybe explain what we can see in the background? What is
Yeah,
what?
a bit. It's like if you see my hand a bit, I hope it's where the light is. There you can see the cutting machine, and then basically what it does, this cutting machine, is that it makes immediately a cut on vinyl, and so not any sort of material, vinyl. But everything is most important. You cut with let's say with a stylus needle, that's the kind of diamond, and you have a certain kind of heat for it. You need for the cutting diamond, and you need some pressure and all this kind of things is important. But also, like say, even the temperature of your record is like almost very important, because when it is a bit too hot, then it will cut too much, and when it is too cold, it will do funny things. So it's pretty critical, and that's the same with the sort kind of sound that you are recording, or you are cutting. It has some limitations, so never try to put the bass stereo bass or something down, because it won't work. The needle can't cut it because it's too much energy. And all these sort kind of things. But let's say before this process, we always mastering this stuff, and then we come to a sort kind of sweet spot. And this sweet spot, let's say you can a bit of choose, let's say you can a bit of choose in this sweet spot exactly what the vibe was from say the original what came out of the what do you say of the section of the studio. So there is, let's say, and most of the times it sounds even better than a master. That is true.
Yeah.
In the end, the whole thing, it sounds even better than a master. So the machine also, and the way we EQ it, makes it a bit more sometimes a bit saturating, but in a very nice way, or a bit more glowing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Have you experimented with half speed mastering on that?
Oh, we never did half speed mastering. I remember. Did we? No.
No,
I don't
no.
think so.
The thing is, the records are cut in real time, and we do a whole bunch of copies. If we do everything at half speed, it would take two times as long. It would take a whole night to make 5 records,
Yeah. Because it takes as long as say what the material is. It takes as long in real time to cut it.
Well, the process actually takes long because you take care of you basically first heat up the blank vinyl, then you cut it, then you clean it, then you package it, then you label it, number it by hand, all that stuff. So it takes about an hour to do one single copy.
Yeah.
Try half speed, 3-minute track.
Yeah, as an experiment. Yeah.
As an experiment, can we do? Yeah, we have a lot of these sort kind of things sometimes in our head, and maybe one day we will do it. Yeah, sure. And you can do a lot with it. So,
yeah, I mean the lathe is here, the cutting lathe. So there are all kinds of things that I still want to do with it, like using it as some kind of tape echo or vinyl echo or something like that, or to do something, feed it back into itself so it degrades and degrades and degrades.
Yeah.
But it's very, very hard to do this without ruining a stylus, and styli are not the most cheap things to replace. Anyway, so there is a lot of possible, but I mean, it already took us about, I would say, maybe a year and a half before we were at the level where we thought, okay, now it's sellable, because like Fritz says, there are so many variables, so many things that could go wrong or can sort of get out of whack, with balancing or calibration. And also just, I mean, you have to really it's like learning to use some kind of a synth, like in and out, you really have to spend time with the machine until you finally get the idea that you have a firm grasp on it, and you've basically seen all the variables and all the variety that.
Yeah, you have to be a bit nerdy. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a very large range of variables that you have to all.
Yeah. It's like a real craft.
Discover
it's a real craft.
Yeah, you have to put in the hours. Yeah.
Yeah, I always say, like, sometimes it's a lila, and the other days it can be a lada. That means like a lada it's a car you have to talk to, like to say, sweet, and then you're doing it. But when it works like a lila, it runs like
Klapkeutel.
Yeah.
How many grams are you cutting?
Oh, it's
180.
Yeah, 180.
Oh, okay, so proper.
Yeah, and like Fritz said, it's not acetate or anything. It's actual.
No, it's
actual vinyl. Yeah, so it's as durable as any pressed vinyl record. Because with acetate, that's used basically most often used for to cut records that are eventually going to be pressed, and it's a soft material, which means that there's less strain on the stylus and possibly more resolution. Or at least accuracy, because the material is softer, so it doesn't really require so much energy. But to cut in
smells
vinyl,
good.
Yeah,
it smells good.
Yeah, it
smells great.
Yeah, but I mean, if you play, I guess we've all used them at some point in our career, and you play them 10 times, and you get this sort of white noise at the beginning where you cue the the first kick or whatever. It doesn't happen with the ones we do because they're basically the same material as your press record.
Oh yeah, and the noise, like the noise floor, is always very important. Like, say, when we start with a whole run, as I say it always, we start really with a new needle. So yeah, because the new stylus will do like it makes you make sure that you have a very low noise level. So the ground floor, as we say, is clean. So what you put, so if you cut in it, let's say if you cut again in it, you know that you will only hear like the pure, like say the pure track as it is. No strange noise or anything. That sort of kind of thing. So you all have to learn that with temperatures, and it's a very sort of kind of organic thing, I can tell you. So
what also takes a bit of time to learn is when your stylus is finished or done,
Yeah.
Because in the beginning you just the guy who sharpens the styli says they should last for about 150 cutting hours. But after 25 we can already hear the difference, it's it goes very fast, so it's needs a lot of care and replacements.
But of course we really do cutting edge, let's say, for that, because we really try to push it just exactly nice, but just that it stays dynamic, but we push it really to, let's say, to the end. We even try to do it, and in a very good way. So yeah, definitely.
Diamonds are not forever.
No. not this one.
That could be a nice t-shirt. We should do a Stoor t-shirt with diamonds are not forever.
Yeah.
With a picture of the cutting stylus.
Yeah, exactly.
So Fritz, what about this one from Mike? Can you cut from the inside to the outside with this machine? Can you?
Yeah, you can. You
Yeah,
can. If you reverse the polarity of the motor, you can make it spin backwards and make an inside out spiral. That's possible, but I mean, it just takes some soldering or putting in a switch or whatever.
Yeah, the real SL.
Makes sense.
It's possible. Yeah.
The real SL techniques. I don't know,
Yeah. No. It's where the bar where the stylus head is, or the cutter head is mounted on, is the only difference that then goes from the inside to the outside, which means
so you have to turn it around.
Yeah.
Also the needle, because otherwise you will fuck up. Because it doesn't cut in front, not like say on the back. So okay, but yeah, it is possible, but with a lot of troubles.
Yeah.
Can you cut into acetate with that machine?
Oof.
Yeah, you can cut into any PVC type, any PVC. You can cut.
But it's not going to be any better using acetate. It's not going to make any.
Well, I mean, it could be done, but I think the pressure you apply to it should be less.
And the
heat, yeah. So it's possible, but why would we cut into acetate? It's not cheaper or anything, and it's just not as durable. So why?
No, it smells good.
Yeah.
Just with the smell. It's like a very.
That's already the second time I hear this from you, Luke. So I don't know.
Yeah. It's a senses, Fritz.
Okay. I get it.
That would be a very expensive
some of this rubble I get out of these records. I can send it to you in a bag. You can sometimes sniff
away.
Yeah.
It's funny, like if you have a
big dispenser or something, like
I always call it angel dust. That's all I say.
Different addictions in the pandemic, no?
Yeah, exactly.
Substitutes.
Actually, we could with all the residue of what's going into the reservoir when you cut at the vinyl, you get this really thin silver hair. We could make Stoor pillows.
I think you're going to say a wig.
You can stuff them with special.
And we'll do a special acetate edition for Luke.
Yeah.
Oh.
You
can sleep on it. You can always have the smell in your dream.
And this is stuff. This stuff
I can
is
only
really,
dream, Joachim.
Yeah, look. I will send it to you.
But, not like a drug dealer at all. No.
It's not on the list yet. But let's say, I always call it angel hair.
Hey, look, you got a customer, man.
Yeah, there you go.
The first one in.
Hey, the entrepreneurial spirit is alive.
Yeah, but it's a kind of business. Everything goes per gram. But
these are nice pandemic hustles, selling residue from the record content.
So I remember that from Saudi always. In Saudi, that was the guy from this South German place. And he was sitting there with his brother in this really in the middle of nowhere. But let's say he told me, like, the whiter this stuff is, the better it is. And he called it angel hair.
Okay.
Yeah. And but when it gets gray, there's a lot of stuff in it. And most of the time you can hear it in the grooves of what you cut it out. So, but let's say, so I keep it a bit. So who knows? Look, one day.
Yeah, it's called swarf.
Yeah,
it's called swarf. Yeah.
Swarf.
Yeah. Swarf. And I know the English.
Yeah, there's another name. There's another name for it. Chip in America. They call it chip.
Chip.
Okay.
Yeah, American lathe users call it chip.
This is the new swarf chip, man.
Swarf. You said it sells by the gram.
So swarf's like the the kind of Victorian word, and chip is like what's happening now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So behind the times, man.
But when you put it together, it has a certain kind of signature. You understand? You don't. Okay.
What are you talking about?
Well, no, it's true though. It's true. If
Yeah.
you see the chip coming off and it looks funny, you know the record is going to sound like shit. You know,
Yeah,
too much pressure, or there's the group isn't deep enough.
Yeah.
So there's only one way it should look, and that's true. So
You can feel it also.
you can tell by the residue if you're doing something wrong or not.
Yeah, but that's what Sauri also said, this teacher of us, and he said the only thing you can do with it is just cut. It's the only thing you can cut. And it was a sort kind of old German guy, he had a sort kind of very special language, but that was the thing I remember. And he said to us, that doesn't matter after 2 days, you're going to start and you have to cut. It was the only, if you have a question on him, most of the time it was just cut. Point. You can tell him more about Sauri, I think you.
Well, yeah, I mean, the cool thing is about the guy who built the machine is like, he doesn't sell it to you unless you visit him and get his instruction few days, and he retains the right basically to not sell it to you until you have been approved. So
Right.
otherwise he just doesn't give it the machine, because he doesn't want like stupid people emailing him, about getting stuck. It's really something, it's a physical process, and there's some things you can just not teach people. You have to get a feel for it and kind of get to know the machine intimately, which makes sense, Anyway.
Yeah. There's been quite a few attempts to make vinyl cutters actually over the years, isn't they? But
yeah, most of them
really
ended up as toy machines. There's a
Yeah.
really lively scene of people who build their own lathes. Most hang out on this forum called Lathe Trolls. It's like cutting engineers from all over the world. They are basically exchanging information there. It's a really cool place if you're into this kind of stuff. But I guess the consensus is you either have to buy like one of the few working Scully or Neumann machines if you really want to get serious about it, or you have to get like a boutique machine which is built by some guy in a shed, and that's the other option, and that's the one we use. But after a lot of practice, you can get like 99% as good as, and in some respects even better than what people can manage to do on an old Neumann or something. And the reason why is because if you think about the whole thing, it's a very fragile process, and if this is your job, you're not going to push it to such an extent that it you have the chance to breaking your equipment all the time, because it's really physically on the edge of what's possible, I mean, cutting vinyl is, and so if you do this for a living, you would be more conservative about it and just make sure it sounds good and it's playable, and but we can sometimes take it a little bit further and experiment with the dynamics or the loudness, just to see what happens. And if we fuck one up, if we fuck up the stylus, bad luck. But it's part of the experiment, part of the journey.
But it is also nice for the whole Stoor concept. Is that it is like, say, from the first moment you push on a key or you put on a piece of gear, it goes in the computer, let's say, on the end, and then it ends up on a record. I mean,
all in house,
all in house. And if we want to, let's say on a moment, let's say the thing is off, the thing is mastered, we can do it. So it saves like a lot of months you have normally, like with normally you go to a record company, it takes you about 6 months before you're in the row, like this. So, and then after about 3/4 year, you have a sort kind of record, and then you have to do still your thing with it. So for me, for Johan, it was the idea like, okay, if you have it in-house, we can immediately do the thing on the vibe of the moment and not for about 1.5 years later or something.
Yeah.
So that's what I liked about the whole thing, the role in this cutting vinyl thing in it, in the concept, because that was exactly what we wanted. So straight out of the studio, Also, this whole table thing, like say in the middle of the studio, you put your things on it. Okay, you plug it in, and then whoopa, it gets multi-track recording, and then from that you can make a record. Zip. So that was the idea. Yeah.
Whoopa.
Whoopa.
That's a very Dutch. That's a very Dutch saying.
Whoopa.
Yeah.
Who's the person who takes care of the mastering? Is he also an in-house Stoor?
Yeah, we do both. Jochem does it.
Well,
we actually did it before.
Yeah, we've worked with Tim from Man-Made a lot. Because he's been cutting and also mastering our stuff for Electric Deluxe, and I mean the relationship with him is such that we can kind of keep the discussion open and get into sort of details about things without having the feeling that you're wasting somebody's time, But it's so, and also he's been advising about the first results we got from the cutting machine, like bring the records to his studio and just check them and see how they sounded, and just get the opinion of somebody who does this for a living, and that really helped. But some of the stuff is right, that we do is now, is so specific, and it's so not industry standard, in terms of sound and content, that it's also possible just to just do the mastering here, basically.
Plug for Tim.
Yeah. So shout out to Tim. He was a big help, especially in the beginning, to get the final cutting process down, basically.
Yeah, nice guy. Really, I saw him once in Berlin. Really nice guy. Yeah.
So yeah. Oh, I saw ages ago. I saw a question about Colleen, Lady Starlight's MC303 stand.
Yeah, which one it was? It was at the very start.
The
Groovebox.
What stand it is?
The question was, I think it was connected to the New Year's resolutions. The person asked where you could get that stand, because that was his New Year's resolution, to get a stand like yours.
Oh, I think I found it at Just Music. Hold on. It's not plugged in. I've tried it so hard to make that work for me on my live sets, but the MIDI clock is such a mess that I can't never make it work with anything else. So, Justin.
Oh, wow. And it's Justin. I'm just going to write that down, actually. If you don't mind.
It's really funny, though.
Because that looks really practical, to be honest.
Yeah, and then it can, you can adjust everything, but it's great. I want to travel with, and that's.
Yeah.
It's whoa. So, yeah. You get just music.
And then with Just Music, yeah.
And there was another question at the start that was for Robin. What are the two records you have behind you?
Oh yeah, they're always
Which
there.
one?
Yeah, there's apparently two records behind Robin. In the shelf on the
like a bandit record in an ashtray.
I don't even know. Hang on.
Inquiring mind.
Classic.
You can see he's a live performer, not a DJ, right?
Lala City.
It's like the good one.
Yeah, Lala City.
Okay, then one is from a friend of mine who used to live in Amsterdam, but moved back to Detroit. His name is Dallas, aka Anonym.
Oh yeah.
And this is from an alias from him called Semper Memmer or something like that. It's this is what it looks like. And this is an old one from Theodore, which I really liked. Is that People can watch it back on YouTube, I think. There you go.
Oh yeah, she makes some great music. She does.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
think
like
it's
her.
been the most requested name to do a remote jam with. At least I asked a couple of sessions back, and the one with Stanislav.
Yeah.
Who should do a remote session? That name came up so many times.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah, she always great. She makes great music. I like her DJ sets as well. And yeah, I should say go for it. Yeah.
Is she still very active? Like I think the last time I've played with her was.
She's still
like
active.
2003 or something.
Okay.
Like she used to also be in the Female Pressure clan with the Susanna Electric Indigo. You know.
Mm,
They had this like really good crew. They were way ahead of their time when it came down to female platforms and stuff. Like Acid Maria and all these ladies. And also Electric Indigo, also very badass DJ. By the way.
Yeah. We had her on the show with together with Robert Henke 3 weeks ago.
Yeah,
really nice talk. Yeah,
they were ahead of their times. I don't know how active the platform still is, but I know that all of these women were creating, and they were doing like they were doing club nights as well. Like, and I remember that I played with her in Barcelona. Like really fanatic and all very much dedicated to music.
Okay,
really good. Yeah, it just popped in my head.
I know CEO is or working or she's just finished an album that's going to be released sometime soon. And regarding the rest, she's in the same situation as all of us, of course.
Yeah.
So, she's still doing great stuff. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. I'm gonna dive into it.
Yeah.
Luke, can you tell anything about your projects during COVID? Because I know one I know of because you invited me to be part of it. I don't know if you are ready to talk about it or not, but no pressure.
Well,
looking at your face, no.
Yeah. Well, I can go as far to say it's a collaboration bit, but it's a bit early to kind of announce anything. But it is a very diverse collaboration project, which thankfully you were into getting involved, and we're aiming for that next year.
Okay.
But I've just been writing. I've been doing remixes and writing a lot, actually, more than I initially thought I would.
And are you just making stuff, see what happens, and then kind of assemble it into projects after you've done with it, or are you really already thinking about a sort of concept for these things you've wrote? Is there something you were planning to do, or are you just sort of?
Well, you know the mindset, the mindset. Well, it's an interest. I mean, I've always found personally, anyway, that sort of going into something with a project idea, that to complete something within a project is difficult. For me, at least. So to write something almost accidentally, to always trying to be writing. I'm more of that school. I think it was a writer, an author said, like what he has to do is get up every day and write. And even though that might turn out to be a load of crap, if he just does that every day, he will write something good. And that's the way I've always worked. I try and write something every day, as much as possible. It's a bit of a compulsion, but it works better for me when it's not too regimented.
It's funny how that works, because some people do need this framework to work within to get something done. Like I'm gonna do Is that for you? Like that for you, Steffi?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna do an EP or an album, and then that is the thing that gets you going.
Yeah, because I also like every time I plan to write an album, I just took off time of DJing, like on purpose, not to be busy with anything but writing. I mean, I've done quite a lot of collaborations over the last couple of years. They kind of took place in between what was going on in my life. But for an album, I am just like head down and don't want to do anything else than concentrate on that project, and really fast, and it gives me a lot of focus. Like I do relate to what Luke's saying as well. Like if you keep the constant flow of writing, you collect a lot of things, and there's always something flourishing from this. But for me, for me, it needs to be in one like sessions. So that so it becomes a family in the end of the day, and then I collect that, and that's that project, and then finish what I want to finish and store the rest. Sometimes never touch it again, and sometimes use it for different things. Throw away some things I didn't like and use the beats for something else. But when it comes down to writing an album, it's like literally doing this. I'm not very communicative to people either. It's just really one. I love that. I love it. I can't wait to get the new studio ready and just go mental, absolutely mental.
Let it all out.
But I think it's a really. I really relate to what Colleen was saying earlier. Like, and maybe that's shocking to the people that might hear this, that know me as a DJ, because I've been doing that for like a very long time as well. But I love making music. It's really my happy place. Like it doesn't matter how bad the world is or whatever. Like I love writing music, and I think we spoke about this like in another Not Twiddlers edition where we were speaking about like what actually gets released. Like if somebody asks me for something quick, like a quick draft, I have so much work that I can just pull that has never seen the daylight and never will. And it is fine. Yeah. It's completely fine with me. Like, as I said to you, Jochem, I think it was the last time, like I've written loads of techno that will never be released. And it doesn't need to be released. It's just there, It's just like, it's rather obsessive, I think.
It's funny how it works, because
I think an obsession, isn't it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's totally.
It has to be.
I'm curious. So how does it work for the other people? For Steve and Colleen and John and Robin, do you need a like assignment or like something to be very clear cut, or is it just more like Luke or like Jochem? You have an idea, or you just write and you just go for it.
I need deadlines, so for me the biggest thing is just is having a live show when I have to record all the material. So it's really easy if you're only a live performer. You have to write new stuff to have something to play. But I think that's
makes sense.
Deadline when there's like a bunch of people looking at you. So that makes it a bit easier for me. So then my problem is recording, because I will make music all day long. I'll perform it live. Perform certain tracks live. It's all sequences. But I'll perform tracks that I've been performing for maybe 2 years, and I'm just recording like this past week finally. So that's hard for me to record. I like to write, but I don't like to finish things. That's boring.
So you come from that's more the sort of traditional, like a band playing music and then taking it into the studio to record it. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah,
you know what works too. So I know you've done this. So you already like, maybe this track does not work at all in front of a crowd. So boom, you don't have to record that one. So you already have a preview of what people are going to respond to. So it's a very efficient way of working. So I have, preparing for the live set, and then I'm also writing an EP. So it's super good time management.
It's actually a very sensible way of doing it, actually, rather than the other way. Because
you don't have to you can write and test it in a room and then go back.
But does it ever happen that you write stuff in the studio and you're like, oh, I'm just going to save this for an EP moment and not play it live, or you take everything on the road, basically?
I'm just changing that now because I'm such a big, I like work efficiency. And So I've been for all my last EPs, everything that I wouldn't write anything that I can't perform live, which is quite obviously, it makes things simple, so it makes a cohesive sound, but at the same time, it's super limiting. So now that the pandemic is gone, I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna dismantle everything and use everything we have. So it's actually been really helpful for me to like let go of that really firm workflow. So very limited. As it always, limitations can be good too. That contributes to why I have a certain sound, because it's always the same stuff that I'm using. So and then there's all other things, but now it's fun to not have to. I was also doing quite a few live streams actually this year, and that I've never written more material than I've written in the past year, because with it, with the live set you're taking on the road, you could do the same set like for a month. You know what I mean?
True. It doesn't get registered, and now you have to really mind that, don't you?
Yeah.
It's like literally like 8 live sets I've written. Everything has to be different because people, will be on the internet forever, so people won't always look at the date and say, "Oh, that was within a month. That's cool." No, it's not.
Yeah.
So much. And only now that I've stopped doing the streams for a while, I'm like, now it's all coming out now, so it's perfect. It's all not coming out yet. Hopefully soon. So.
But I guess it's both good and bad, because you ended up with shitloads of new stuff then. Even though it was hard work to get, a different thing for each of those performances, it did get you a whole bunch of new stuff.
Yeah, and now I'm like recording, and I like basically have an album's worth of material, and I'm like, well, that was good. At least, of course, it's really shitty, but you're like, but there's always shitty music that everyone writes.
That's great.
Yeah. So
yeah.
Really,
I mean, I think that's an interesting thing about the experience of this year is we've all in some way, probably not the same, but had to deal with the mental aspects of being in a different situation versus what we've been doing and what we want to do and what you get out of it and how you process it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't matter, you find you want how to still be productive in some way. And, I don't know everyone else, but for me, that was one of the most important things. Like, how can I still make something? I like to make stuff. So how can I still do that?
Be productive.
And, and cross that barrier still in the head. And I think that for, it's challenging, but it's also amazing because, like you're saying, you've ended up with a lot of material you probably wouldn't have had if this hadn't happened.
Yeah, 100%.
Which is a great thing. Yeah.
It's how the universe works in the end of the day, doesn't it? Like it sends you in a different direction, and the outcome is completely different. And it might give you a new look on things as well at the same time, or break a rhythm that you're so stuck in, and then you're like, oh, I actually like my new rhythm. It's like it's progression. It's good
in an unexpected way. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And secretly, we all want that rhythm to be broken at some point.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Here, one of the commenters on Twitch, Len Hanofogo, basically, would it still be possible to make a classic that lasts for years?
So the question if it would be possible, as in terms of the culture and how fast things move.
Well, it's interesting because I've had this discussion with several people, and first of all, I don't feel responsible for the genre, So it's I just approach it from making music, and when I play, it's like having the experience together, and that's pretty much what keeps me satisfied about the whole thing. But yes, of course, sometimes in the past you had like records that basically sold tens of thousands of vinyls, and ended up on shitloads of compilations and stayed around and could be played, even 3 years later after it got released, But I think it is basically the way we consume music, right? I mean, there is such a flood of new stuff bombarded to everybody every day, all the time, non-stop, I think there's just
everything all the time as well.
Yeah, there's just so much more choice and much more on offer, and
the same amount of classics, basically, out of the whole bunch. I mean, there are still classics, right?
Well, there are big tracks. There are big tracks.
But I mean, what comes to mind for me is, for example, the track that Clouds did, "Chained to a Dead Camel," that you would hear everywhere on every festival for like 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Or I mean, there are probably other examples that are also not as old, or in the same time period, so to say. The only difference is that you don't sell as many copies, I guess.
Yeah, there's different avenues, I think, especially now when people have their own benchmarks for what makes something good or what makes it a classic for them. I mean, is it a record that sold a lot? Is it a record that went very far?
How do you define that? What a classic is.
But also, I think something that when I try to think about what makes a classic in the classic sense of it, was maybe something that was a part of a shared experience for a group of people. And so I think also we find ourselves in a time, of course now, but that even notwithstanding, when there are so many people also on the planet, all over the world, we have this connectivity and we can share music and things can get around. But I think a lot of classics, when I think of them, again from earlier days, it seemed to me that there was always a certain experience connected with it. It was a certain club where that record became very well known. There was a collective group of people that kind of collectively elevated the idea of that record and then spoke about it. It became a reference point for not just one person or a group of friends, but a bigger group of people that was kind of a cultural movement. And then people would look to that city or that club at that time and think, oh yeah, this was a record that defined that culture. And that vaulted it into this kind of next level of being remembered as a certain memorable classic or record. And I think that still can and does happen today, just maybe in different pockets. And now there's the internet where things could kind of really have a certain heavy reach to a group of people in one club, and they could pop up somewhere at the same time on a completely different side of the world, and a different group of people embraced it, but it maybe wouldn't have been in these smaller pockets where, relatively speaking, it seemed like a much bigger entity as an idea of that record. Is that making sense?
Yeah. You get
completely what I meant as well, partly.
Yeah,
partly.
You get this sort of idealization, or this maybe not the right word, but like this. Some people who haven't been there at that moment, at that time, they kind of put it on a high sort of nostalgic level where it really wasn't when it actually happened.
Maybe it wasn't, but it became this cult.
And the other thing is, I think maybe that is something else as well. I mean, it's just not so cool to, if you're really serious about your DJing, to drop classics all the time, because it's like the sort of, it's a cheap move, sometimes. You know what I mean?
Because people know it already,
I mean, if that's what it takes to be a good DJ, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, well, it's something that anybody can do, really. Just
Well, you say that, Jochen, but Heidi tells me you have to be old to drop classics. You can only drop them if you're old, and if you're young, you're not supposed to. That's the deal.
But I think it's multi-layered though. Like the reason why it's harder maybe to no maybe more in the sense of the reason why not so many classics get written, if that would be a statement. I think I think it has to do with the fact that when electronic dance music first started to develop itself, it was so new that people got so crazy with the machines, and the stuff that came out was so naive that made it really interesting. And then you have the fact of the matter that it was a lot of stuff was very melodic, so it has a lot of recognition, And the melody was a very dominating part of the music, so it's easy for people to go like, wow, 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 yeah, okay, that track, and it's become more linear in a sense. If you would talk about techno in this case, the question was about techno, but I also think saturation of the market is definitely one thing that, like, really good to be classics don't get the visibility they deserve because it's so flooded. And not to forget that also it's also what people feed you. If it seems to be that the kids are looking at like, oh, this DJ so and so with so many so and so likes played that track, so that must be it, kind of thing. I think there's a little bit of a lack of imagination when it comes to the festival scene, where you get the chance where they showcase you for 2.5 hours, where you can really go into a zone and people go like, whoo, the stuff that I've heard tonight, my God, like it's kind of an urge to, I've got 1.5 hour, let's just bang it out and just, make sure that I was there, kind of thing. And if you have hotshot names that for the kids, they're like, oh, look, this person on Instagram, it must be something, kind of thing. That whole element of representation also kind of keeps the, takes the concentration away on what actually is going on music-wise. So I think it's also harder for these amazing tracks that might have a certain level that doesn't fit every DJ, don't get airplayed because it's simply a little bit of more of a formula, whereas maybe 30 years ago it wasn't so much a formula, like the way you present the music to the crowd.
No,
and clubbing.
What is very important, because I can know it, I was producing in that time, is that there were not so many people who, like, say, were competitors or anything. It was just a small group of people who were making it, and basically later on, like, say, the press found out any sort kind of terms, but let's say basically in the beginning everyone was calling it house or whatever, but not more than that. And later on the press put on every single thing that somebody did that was a bit of authentic, they put a whole label on it, and before it known it was an whole kind of really, and that's what's happening. And now I think the competition is stiff. Especially in the techno, what I understand, because I was never a techno guy, so I was making other things, but whatever. Let's say that what I now see is that the competition is much huge. It's all on internet, and exactly what you say is like how much followers somebody has and blah, 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 blah. And the rest out of the 90s is exactly what you say, a bit of an ideal, because, okay, in that time it was enough. For me, I was not DJing, I never liked it. Sorry, boys, but I never liked it. But for me, as producer, I could just make enough money from the records I was selling. If you were selling 5,000, your record owner was not looking. I mean, if you were selling less than 5,000, you had to talk with your record owner label. Like that was a bit of time. So you could sell easily because it was new and not many people were really into it. So that's the thing.
Yeah, like Steffi used the word naive. I think that's a very important factor. It's a lot of the things that are made today are made, with some
the
brain result in mind, or like an effect in mind. And
pragmatic. It's very pragmatic, Jochem.
Yeah, I mean, you can still choose to. I mean, it's good to be aware of the mechanisms of how things will go down in a club when you're producing something. But it's not, for me at least, it's not always necessary to stick to those things, because I'm I'm pretty much just obsessed with sound, and when it sounds interesting, I'm happy, and if it's playable in a club or is entertaining to people who are on a dance floor, it's very cool. But that's not my benchmark or criterion, when I'm making something. And I think that way that was always the approach also when I started out making music. Let's just try this, see what happens, and just combine this idea with that idea, and you end up in sort of in territory which is sometimes very useless and unnecessary and disposable. But sometimes you stumble upon something which is actually very interesting and relates, what something that people can relate to as well, because it's just outside the usuals, just a little sort of like a little personal touch or a little an interpretation that nobody else has come up with. I think those are the things that usually speak to me the most.
But is it fair? I have a question actually, even though I'm not on YouTube. But do you think it's fair to say, like, if you look at the timeline of how electronic dance music started, that when the band, the disco still had a band, and then it became like a couple of people, and it narrowed down to one or two people making the electronic music, that the need to stay into more strong song structure based music because of it being so new, is maybe also the fact that these tracks were more songs, and now it's much more the horizon has widened, and loopy stuff is,
you know what? I also think it's a result of the type of equipment we're working on, because in the early days you were working on pretty terrible massive stacks of speakers that were designed to put on rock and roll shows, and so if you were lucky, there were some dub guys involved, and they actually could produce some bass in the system, but the acoustics and reproduction equipment we have these days, you can do like amazingly subtle things, which are coming across in such a massive way that the music gets reduced in a sense, like
okay, that's an interesting thing.
I think if you
sound design,
maybe, I don't know, what do you think about that? It's I think it has a lot to do with it, if you play on a
I think so too.
Yeah.
That when I'm making music at home here, and when I get to be able to play it out in the club, that I know that it will sound very much like I intended it to, because the sound quality of a club, especially in the low end as well, is very, very detailed.
Yeah, which also means that it's not going to be sounding as relevant musically outside of these environments. So you're basically making stuff to be played on a massive system, and it was
so the approach is different, basically. Yeah. It's
and also, would it not take
if
if
I can just add to that?
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, on the original question about classics, I think at least one thing I've always sort of thought about is the fact that the house and techno origins was, which became acid and which knocked onto so many other things, was a revolution for young people. It was a change in life, and that wasn't there before. It wasn't something that was there before. It was totally new, and it was smaller, like Steffi was saying, that there wasn't really a scene. There was a very small scene. It was very international, but it was very small in each country.
Yeah.
So, and everybody joined in with this who wanted to be part, whether you were dancing or, you were going to a club. It was something that overtook the world.
Yeah.
But it didn't start like that. So,
no, it was even actively banned on existing media, like
radio.
I think that's important, because it's regardless of where things are at now. I think realizing that there's a kind of a path to everything like this. It's I'm sure the same things happen with if you take people who are 17, 18 now, and whatever they're going through in their lives, they'll find escape in music, and there will be certain songs, and it's probably not techno, but it could be, that they'll always have as a classic, because everyone is in a kind of the same situation at one given time. And maybe and this is how it rolls on, isn't it? The revolutions don't always come about like house and techno, but there will always be them. It will always happen because just the cycle of life.
This is interesting. The only thing that I'm not really worried about, but I think is kind of breaking that cycle is that our kids are listening to electronic music, which is sort of has its roots in house and techno as well. And at the time
that's a good thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, do you really want to listen to the music your parents grew up with? I mean, in the late 80s, early 90s, it was really something that was so far removed from whatever was mainstream back then, or what our parents were listening to.
Yeah.
And now I don't see that revolution. But I talk to young people and my kids about that as well, and they say, well, yeah, there's just not such a big turn in music these days. But I always say that, well, your revolution or your childhood massive change would have been, MSN or the arrival of the sort of internet communication and online gaming and stuff like that. That is something which is an entirely new phenomenon, which has never been available to us, or
but it's not a social. It's not, Joachim. It's not a social thing, and that's highly controlled by the government. Like in the US, the government actually owns like a couple of massive radio stations, and there's a massive influence on what can actually break through, and you can clearly see that they're kind of holding back on anything that could be too revolutionary
on
because
the radio,
of the type of control, and that I think and what Luke's saying, it's really interesting. When I was in high school, and I remember that it was weird. If you're a houser, as they say it in Dutch, it's weird. It's weird. Like, what the fuck are you doing? You're either a rocker, you go to a bar, or you're listening to the top 40, or you're a houser. And it's like, oh, that's stupid weird, music, right? Kind of thing. But that like punk was a movement, and new romantics and new wave and grunge, and later R&B became really big. Like house in general, like as an umbrella for any type of techno or whatever. It was a social thing as well. Like it connected people and stood for something. And now you can clearly see what it gets picked to be played on the radio. It's very controlled. Like it's very boxed. People don't get a chance to break out,
But the internet, see, and what we were talking about also with technology is now with the internet, and here we are communicating, and there's a lot of new ways to communicate on the internet, and young people are finding and innovating new ways, and we're talking about what makes a classic. There's young people that are in their own chat methods that are developing new ideas and potentially new forms of music that may have been inspired by this in ways that we don't even fully understand yet.
Absolutely,
that is the revolution.
That's true, though.
We're with it, and we understand it, we can see it and name it, or
that's
not.
the thing. That's why I said. That's why I said. I mean, you can just focus on the change in music, but I think the real revolution has been. The availability of finding any niche in any subculture and any sort of strange music culture or I don't know, gaming culture or any crazy hobby, basically just instantly, if you look for it on the internet, that's something that's really powerful. And that is something I meant when I said I didn't agree with Steffi about the radio, blah, blah, blah. But this is the powerful thing. You can, and it is a social thing too. It's very much finding your own peers, your own group, and finding your own.
But Joachim, you're saying
being televised.
But you're saying like who listens to the radio? But I just had my niece here who's 17, and these kids, they do listen to the radio. Like I think a batch of kids, they dive deeper and they start to stroll and pick up massive amounts of crazy music. But there's a majority that we don't see so much because it's
But
out
radio,
of our.
like actual radio, like FM radio.
Oh my God! Yeah, totally. They just like. I mean, sorry if Despacito or what's the name of that track is the best, most viewed track on YouTube. That says a lot. Like, and that's not something that we play in the club. And that is what dominates the charts and all the sound. And so I think I mean, I love your optimism, Joachim. Like people don't listen to the radio, but if you see what actually gets the most airplay on YouTube and actually on the radio.
But I think the power there is that is I think that you're saying what it is, because that's the reason why they found out about it is not the radio, but it's the internet. It's YouTube.
I was also going to add, if I may, I mean, isn't that how it's always been though? There's always been a lot of people that have readily picked up what's in front of them, but there's people that go and seek something out and are
find the classics.
to look deeper and find the classics or whatever, and they're going to talk to other like-minded friends or get introduced to something through some different channel, go seek it out. I mean, for me, I had to seek out house probably in a record store, but people could still seek things out. It's just the channels might be a little different, but the mentality or the different mentality of digging for something versus just kind of saying, okay, I guess this is all there is that I see in front of my face. I think that might have always been that way, and it's just
I think so too. I think there are people that are on purpose choose to listen to FM radio because they want to discover different stuff instead of going to the usual channels like YouTube and whatnot.
Well, in the end, it's like identifying with a genre or identifying with a group of people who like a certain type of music is part of your identity, and you can treat it in different ways. You can want to belong to a certain group, but you can also say, okay, when it becomes too popular, I'm out and I'm going to find my own thing. It's very layered.
That's a natural progression, I think.
Yeah.
That's a natural progression. But in the UK, stations like Radio 6 Music are actually playing quite a real diverse mixture of music, and that didn't really exist before. But it's I always think it's like something that came after John Peel. And was kind of adopted as a kind of an idea amongst our presenters. And Mary Ann Hobbs, for example, does play techno records, and it's but not constantly. She mixes them up with lots of different things, and I think that's really great. And it's kind of now I might listen to that. Is my daughter going to listen to that? That's another question. I don't know, but it's FM radio is still going. It's just there's just so many stations anyway, isn't there, of FM radio now, or DAB or whatever or on the net. But I don't think really I'm personally I'm just thankful to have been around when I've been around and experienced something culturally and revolutionary that happened in my lifetime to be part of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And connecting to what John said earlier, that we're talking about what happened then, but we have no idea what the revolution for the kids nowadays is. So
the revolution will not be televised.
What classics are made today? Like what classics are made today, we'll know in 10 years if there are any classics made. Or in 20 years, maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we'll be talking about, whatever track we don't really notice now as a classic, perhaps. Who knows?
Steve, what were the sources for you when you found your music back in the day?
It was in the early 80s, pirate radio in the weekends. because they were playing exactly how some of you say different stuff than the normal stuff that you would get presented.
Yeah.
Radio. And there was less radio stations back in the days as well. So there was already few choice, but the choice we had was very diverse, like Steffi said. And you had reggae, you had ska, and now it's very limited. And how she said, boxed as well. That's also how I see it. There's hardly any diversity left within what you get presented in charts music, in my opinion. We grew up with anything from rock to punk to new wave to reggae to ska. And I really, like Luke said, I loved that period that I experienced it back in the days.
Yeah.
And that, to me, it seems that really disappeared. This big diversity, but that's presented to the bigger crowd. Yeah. Now you indeed really have to dig in, and even for me, it's hard to keep up with what's around because there's so much
coming out. Yeah,
and I do miss a lot of things still. I mean, I can daily hear a friend or someone saying, "Oh, have you heard this?" And then I check it out. It's like, wow. And if he wouldn't have said it, I wouldn't have come across it. Well, back in the days, somehow, because there was just less on offer, you would always come across certain things. And it's hard. You can't keep up now.
But now you have Radio Garden.
That's it.
And
That's
I really
a good thing,
like
though.
it. Yeah. Radio Garden is cool.
Radio Garden?
Never
Okay, that's if you can check it out, and you can get any radio station on the world what on the moment is in the air, and it is super nice. You know, you can go to. Sometimes I have a sort kind of reference or whatever, you know, but sometimes you have also really good stations. You just. What did I say? Sometimes I go for drum and bass and stuff like this still, you know, and then I always come out somewhere, and there is somewhere in England there is a sort kind of radio station that will do it, and that will go for anything what you want to listen on this world, because most of the time they turn records out of their sort kind of niche thing, you know. So sometimes you can find nice stations now. So that's the benefit of, let's say, internet.
So what is it? Is it like a world map or something? And
it's a world map. Yeah, it's a world map, and you can zoom in and zoom out, and then you can find
globe, right?
many. It's really cool. But let's say from the early days, it was like I had one program I was always listening to. I think you, Jochem, knows it as well, maybe from the VPRO. And these guys were turning from the most obscure sort kind of, I don't know, punky rock stuff, let's say, till the newest hip hop stuff, whatever. So
was it on Wednesday night?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know the program. I forgot the name, but I know I listened to it as well.
Yeah, and these guys were taking from any sort kind of what they say genre.
It was all good. It was all good. Yeah.
All good. That's where I heard for the first time Schoolie D, the whole thing. So that was their 80s. 90s.
I think what it comes down to is that radio stations or certain radio DJs would be your trusted curator, and they would pre-select stuff for you and give you a kind of like a summary of what was going on. And the same is true for being in record shops. You know, if you would go to actual record shops buying vinyl on like the Friday afternoon, meeting your kind of fellow music enthusiasts or DJs who were going to buy the records for the weekend, they would pre-select a stash for regular visitors, and you would get like 20 or 30 records to go through. Hey, we've selected these for you that might be up your street, have a check, and then you would take 5 or 10, I don't know, and then that's also a form of curation. And I think that's something that hasn't been made into like an equivalent on the internet, because it's just all. Well, I mean, people have attempted, you've got you've got like playlists or algorithms or top 10s or recommendations, but not with the same authority, because you would they are more random. There would not be from your sort of trusted curator. I think that helped a lot.
No,
I
but
think.
you can be your
Well,
own
we are in
curator
a
now,
very
right?
it's a massive consumption society in general. Like what we're facing now. Like back in the day, if you buy a television, it would last 25 years, and now you have to replace your flat screen in 3 years. Like, and it's built to last only for 3 years. So the whole principle of being a curator back in the day is exactly what you're saying, Jochen. When we were, I mostly did my record shopping in Eindhoven with Robob, was an amazing guy to have in the store. Like, so much music that he would push in my hands. Yeah. That made me think, or when in the early days when I was at Clone, they would go like, "Are you sure that you're not taking that record?" And I would go like, "What do you mean?" Like, "Well, if you don't take it, you haven't really understood what was going on," kind of thing. That attitude is a whole different thing now than and I think that's what Luc said also. Like the importance of a social movement is not so much that we have to revive a punk movement or whatever, but like me personally, I need some people to kick some ass and to push the boundaries and to see that there's a collectiveness. Is that how you say it in English? I'm not sure. Like people do things as a collective to stand for something, and I think that's kind of going missing in the massive pile of everything is availableness. Like whether it's music or a sneaker on the internet, like there's no niche for a social movement. And back in the day, it would be hand in hand with music. Like reggae was a very, very like a very political thing as well.
It's harder for music and culture to remain site specific anymore because of the internet.
Exactly.
You can't. There's no time for any kind of culture to germinate in one group of people in one place because
it's too fast.
Online and
it's too fast. Yeah,
and it hasn't had a chance to bubble up and define itself on a kind of immediate level.
No, but
but you know what I mean? Sometimes it's about missing that like edginess on it. You know what I'm saying? Like there's like that like something's shaking up the world a little bit more than like, oh, look at the new next big thing, and you don't have to even have a certain level of quality anymore to be able to just be an average person that like makes a fantastic living out of being a DJ or a producer. And that's okay, because that's like a yin-yang thing, it's a black side and there's a white side, and in the black part there's the white dot, and I do get that completely. It took me a while because I used to be very like pushy about it, but what I'm trying to say is like I kind of miss that bite every once in a while where we go like and then you go like woo, that like you get mesmerized by something that pops up, or a person that pops up, or a band, or you go like, oh my god, like I need to sit down for this. Yeah. It's the same time when I heard Yazoo or something, I was like, whoa, okay. Or when I listened to New Beat when that came out, like it was like 14, I was like, okay, what the hell is going on here? But you know what, that like, kind of like wow effect is also because we heard a lot, but it's also visible in society, which I think, where there's no harm in dreaming that there might be maybe that's your daughter, Luc, because she was brilliant behind the piano, so let's pray. She's got the Dutch vibe in her. So
what has been done already?
But you know what I'm saying. Like I want people to I'm going to shut up in a minute, but I want to say one thing. Like I'm going to
vote for you. I'm voting for you, man.
Yeah. No, I was listening to some interviews with Annie Lennox, and I'm a massive Eurythmics fan. And the stuff that she has done, like in her career, you can put her on the stand and tell me one thing that you go like, oh, Annie, that's where you were a little bit like off, kind of thing. Where like it's a consistency of somebody that brings the shit to the table, where you go like, woman, I don't know if I want to be you or stand next to you or work with you or make a beat for you. But I see if these people pass away, who's going to replace not only the musical talent, but also this whole energetic movement that gives you the wow kind of vibe. You know what I mean?
Okay, but in the 80s there were more, in the 80s and 90s there were more like engagement in the music. So that means that there was a it was going with a political statement or whatever, or a political movement or just a thought. And now, what I found out about house, house was the most powerful things I ever heard in my life when I heard it for the first time. Chicago record, whatever. But what I immediately heard and I felt, it was, there is no engagement in house music. It's just all about party and how you're feeling and blah, blah, blah. And that went on. And now you see the last coming, about 8 years now, 10 years, you see some engagement also with the younger kids coming. Because basically they were just, like say in the 90s or in just the early 2000s, they were just only consuming music. And for the rest, there was nothing. There was no political engagement or whatever, and now it's engagement. Sorry, and now it's coming back. So that engagement means that you now have to do more than only make a nice song, or you have to, let's say, or a nice dancing track. But let's say if you now people become more consumers, because what I heard, like a lot of students in Holland, first they go to their whatever they do. And then they go on the end, that's the most important thing, all of them take something up, and they go like in the club. Just getting their heads off, point, that's all.
That's also a way to discover music though.
It's a way to discover music, but it's in what you're talking, what's Steffi about talking about, like, I want to have something but really rocks or really have an edge, I don't know. Because
but to get back to Steffi's point, I mean, you said the wow moments, but I've had a lot of wow moments by, finding random stuff on the internet, playing the algorithm.
Yeah, but that's not the same as a person with a legacy of 40
maybe it's not, but I think it's the way that.
But it's not the same. I'm going all the way like this. It's not the same.
Yeah, no, I know. I don't know. It might be the way of the youth to discover new stuff.
Yeah, but then we're on our way to alienation. I'm sorry, it has to be said. It has to be said.
Steffi, but
we need some leading people.
Yeah, but imagine.
I don't disagree with that though.
Imagine imagine the leading people are the most corporate, right? If the presence on the internet now, which wasn't there before, you couldn't do this before, not in the 90s.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what age you are now. You can. This is why a lot of early techno records, my early music. Many people's early music is still relevant now because people do discover on the internet. Because it doesn't matter when you released a record. There's no time limit on record. I've discovered jazz records from the 60s that to me were made yesterday. It doesn't. They look the same as are released now. I can download them and play them. There's maybe the exposure on the internet is actually a good thing.
I'm not saying it's not a good thing, but
because
like,
there's no age limit. You can find it if you want it.
Say that again.
You can find it if you want it. There's no aging. There's no.
No, it's a massive preserver for anything that gets stored, which is a beautiful thing. I mean, that's that whole yin yang thing again. The black and the white, and the white and the black, and all that kind of stuff. But like when it comes down to something being a classic or somebody being a classic, you can also be a person that's a classic, like classic person. I think we maybe it's the fact that the music, the face of the music is not so relevant anymore, and which is also fine. I mean, anything that happens is hey, anything that happens is fine. I'm just saying, like, I hope that we get a generation full of Laurie Andersons and Annie Lennoxes and all these pioneers, and that the young kids, but maybe they have a whole different brain by the time that I'm dead. I'm going to be 90, so it's quite a long ride still. But I get what you're saying.
Computer chip and live for a while.
Reboot myself. No, thank you. No.
I think it might be the other way around. That you discover things on the internet first, and then you discover the people behind it.
Yes.
I mean, there sure are classic people and stuff, but you now discover the music or something first, and then find out who someone is, who's
Or
the
about the
person
culture
behind
around it.
music.
Yeah.
You know,
There's an illusion that everything on the internet is accessible, because it's not. There used to be gatekeepers, and there still are, but we don't know who they are. And they're usually corporations, people with a financial interest in what you. And they're not people who have an artistic taste, like even the A&R people back in the 60s, you know, or in the 80s, who A&R people who believed in Annie Lennox, like those people who have good taste aren't the ones making the decisions anymore. It's clickbait, it's all this stuff. So I think there's also a false illusion that anything is available, because it's not. You can't find
But I think, don't you think?
That's a good point, though, what you're saying.
But on the other hand, you know, I mean, people are not stupid. Don't you think that authenticity can be faked? I mean,
yes, that's what's really going on.
Are we going into deepfake now?
No. But I mean, I don't know about you, but if I listen to something, I can tell whether it's authentic or it is just trying to be something which it is not. You know. You know what I mean? So I think if you're into authentic music or authentic ideas, and you really want to find these things, you can. You know, I don't know. It's for. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to tell a lie with music.
But then again, we started off with Malcolm McLaren, didn't we? Like, and I think the majority thinks it's Madonna, and it was Malcolm McLaren. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's an interesting one, because I mean, I'm not saying that like the superstardom thing is something that happened now. It was the 80s as well. I mean, sorry, but Tiffany didn't write her own music. You know, Tiffany was just Tiffany. You know, Taylor Dane could actually sing, but you know, there's so many like people on the cover that were like, no, darling, it wasn't you, but thanks for coming. And you're definitely not going to get any money from your record. That's an old system that's still, you know, that was used in the 80s and it's still going on with new DJs. With, you know, that's nothing new, but you know.
Question, what is the connection between Malcolm McLaren and Madonna?
They were both deep in vogue, man.
Yeah.
As John demonstrated.
Come on, John.
Yeah,
commercial break. Come on.
Cool.
He's so good at it.
Look at him go.
Yeah. But let's say, yeah, man. Yeah. I have the tendency also to vote for her. Yeah, like you. Yeah.
One thing is.
Yeah, there he goes.
One thing is for sure.
Some legs now. Or not, no.
Now something's coming.
Anyway, as you were saying.
Yeah.
No, one thing is for sure. Both Malcolm McLaren and Madonna were are both really good marketeers.
Yeah.
And fan of John Lester.
Yeah.
They have nothing on John Lester. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I mean, what Malcolm McLaren was doing in the 80s is really just the very early version of. Yeah.
Sex Pistols was great. The big scandal. I mean, come on, man. Together with what's her name?
Vivienne Westwood.
Yeah, exactly. Vivienne Westwood and her. Yeah, they make the big scandal. Yeah, it was.
And the interesting thing is that many people would go like punk. If you ask a real punk guy, you go like, don't even, you know. That's that same. It's the same type of. Yeah, it's the same type of stuff that happens now with like a new DJ having 1 million likes, and you go, who was that? Yeah, she played that. Oh, or he played that. Oh, okay. Oh, I've missed something. Oh no, don't worry, it happened overnight, type of thing. That's of course it's nothing new. It's nothing new as long as they don't get into politics. No, sorry. Okay, take me away. I can go I might get shot. Thank God I didn't come.
No.
But connecting to what Luke said, though, it's
What did I
ageless
say?
now. You know, something can be on the internet for 5 or 10 years, and then it can suddenly skyrocket.
Yeah.
And it can also be that you discover something on the internet that is a classic. I mean, I've discovered things like Philip Glass through, I don't know, random YouTube-related videos, for example, which is, I mean, I think we can all agree that that's a legend, or at least did some classic stuff.
A bunch of kids learned.
And I was like, who is this?
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit annoying when a 10-year-old comes up to you and says, "Oh, have you seen Quine and Squatsy?" Oh yeah, about 40 years ago, man. You know, but you know, that's the great.
Goes, right?
But that's the thing.
Glass was the guy, like, it was every time, taking the same sort kind of chords, ding, 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 for a day, and when he changed from one tone, then his whole family was like fucked up because Daddy took another note for after my 24 hours, So I like the guy, like on the beach with blah, 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 so I saw a lot of things from him, but this other minimalist was for me the biggest
Steve
hero.
Reich or Terry Riley or
Steve Reich.
Yeah.
Steve Reich for me, yeah. But
I love
that's
Steve Reich. I love
Yeah.
Steve
Me too.
Steve Reich, yeah.
On the internet thing, one curiosity was how a bunch of young people probably heard Fleetwood Mac for the first time from some guy who skateboarded
Through that
with
TikTok
cranberry
thing.
juice and TikTok.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Boom, went straight to number one again.
Yeah,
Ching,
straight to number one. How's
ching.
that?
Stevie Nicks has a new car. Why not? Like, oh, she's another pioneer. What are we going to do when she dies? I'm going to be really
And they
upset.
discovered her yesterday.
Yeah. They're like, wait, what? Yeah. Hey, Prince. I mean, but it's just there's oh. I mean, he's the people who were singularly unique like that also were multi-talented and also had the backing of, and then famously fought against big record companies and had that platform from which to perform. And that's something in terms of what we see now that has changed in terms of how music gets kind of promoted, and just the signal to noise ratio of just how much music is coming out across every genre, and all people producing and creating that something can rise to the top, but it's got to do so on different terms and different pathways than it ever had before. So some could argue, there'll never be someone like as talented as performer A or B or what have you, but they are out there, and they're on their own pathways, and they will be heard, and it just might be through different channels. So.
There are more channels now than there ever were.
Yep.
That's a good thing.
That is also true. Yeah.
Colleen, what was your first introduction to
music?
No. When did you fall in love with electronic music?
Well, I actually, being from, I was actually, my first intro to the stage scene was like many people in the U.S. I was like a punk rocker, and I really liked, so basically in 94 was when I first went to the rave. And so everybody, like we were saying, there's nothing before it that you would you had to come from different places, musically from different places, which I think is what made the rave scene so exciting, because everybody was coming from some other subculture, because there wasn't a rave subculture to come from. So I was into hardcore, punk, not hardcore punk. So that was what I was really into. And then I became, and again, this music came along, and the attitude, in punk and a lot of other subcultures, it's a very nihilistic sort of view on things. So it was so amazing to find a culture that was the opposite of some gloom and doom kind of subculture, which a lot of them are, goth or whatever. It has that kind of negative, woe is me, I'm a tortured soul. So I'm a teenager. Tortured true. So then it was so that's how I came into techno. So, but I still really mostly listen to rock music, I have to admit. And that's why it inspires me the most. and instrument based, like things that sound very human. And the kind of techno I like is I tend to like a lot of older stuff because, like we were talking about before, it sounds like human being. You hear like faults in it. You hear like you didn't mute the snare drum, like cut off the tail of the snare drum, like things like that. I love them so much. And just like the energy of like, yeah, fuck it. You know what I mean? Just everything. And just this like abandonment to whatever you're hearing. So that's what I love techno that is like that. And there are, I love that energy that you hear through it. And so interestingly enough, Luke, my very first rave, it's not my first techno party, but my first rave was your first Planetary Assault Systems performance in New York.
Really?
The US, yes.
Wow. Well, I feel honoured.
I found the flyer. I went to these rave archives. I wish I could find it. It's something on like a very old photo sharing platform that I can't remember right now. But
where was it?
I think it was 94.
In like a rave or a club, was it?
A rave.
Ah, okay.
It
wow.
was not in New York City. It was like maybe somewhere in Massachusetts, actually.
Yeah, that's. I remember knocking around there a bit.
Yeah.
You remember Massachusetts?
Yeah. Wow.
So yeah.
Was it good?
Yeah.
Good.
It got her into it. So.
Yeah. Hey, happy birthday, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Is it today?
No. It was
Oh, happy birthday.
last Wednesday. Something. Yeah.
I think the sun went down in Portugal.
Yeah, where's Steffi?
She's being rebellious.
Yeah.
She will be back with a crowd.
Okay.
People with torches and stuff.
No, but it's interesting you say about music and the kind of rough, when records you can hear not the mistakes, but the kind of the moment recording of it. Yeah, I can totally relate to that. But it doesn't matter what genre it is, whether it's dub or techno, house, whatever. But just when you can hear that edit wasn't quite on, or it's just sort of there, it's just such a vibe, captured in that moment at a time. It's not really, it's not a complete product. There's things not quite mathematically right on
well,
it.
It's a human performing
It's a human performing, yeah. And I just love that in music, it kind of does it. When things are packaged too nice and it's like there's nothing to get nothing to get into.
Excitement. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've always found amazing. It's that there's records that have been captured that could never be reproduced in that way again.
Yeah.
Just a moment in time, just bang, there it is, gone, recorded.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Capturing a moment. Yeah.
There's nothing
absolutely.
That can still be done. Like, so it's not.
Yeah.
Because I feel
in fact, I've made it my mission the last.
I aspire to it. It's a good thing to keep in mind. Yeah.
Yeah, because I hate to sound like, oh, records in the 90s. How everybody's like, oh, 90s techno. It's like this thing, and I get it because there was absolutely great techno in the 90s, but it's not a backwards looking thing that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But it's that urgency of the whole thing. Like you said.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully it still happens now in music, outside of techno and any music really, I guess. But yeah, it must be still out there.
Yeah.
I hope so.
It is still out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you just have to be able to find it, and I think the whole process is something you can choose to do, or there are always many moments during the production process where you can choose to to hide these little mistakes, or to cut them out of the end product or whatever. But you can also,
or to leave them in.
or to leave them in
if they're not too bad,
yeah.
So turn them up.
Turn bugs into features. I think that's a really important thing. All right,
absolutely.
People, we have already been talking for 2.5 hours.
I was about to.
I could sit here for another hour, and talk to you guys, but it's getting a bit long for people who are watching this, or I don't know.
We still have a lot of people watching, though.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Hello, everybody.
It's very stable.
Anyone have some questions still?
Yeah. Let's bring
for the panel here.
Let's interact with the crowd. Okay.
About anything.
Here we go.
Ask away.
Yeah.
Double the guest, double the duration.
Yeah. Why not?
Okay,
why not?
Maybe. Great show. Thank you, Split Radix.
Right.
Okay then.
Yeah, we're great.
Another happy
nobody's
Happy birthday! Woo!
nobody's complaining.
Yeah, exactly. As if you have to be somewhere.
Remember to use John's voguing as the advertising snippet.
John's voguing would be a cue point for me to know that I was doing a good job. Like last time I saw you voguing, John, you were in front of the window in Panorama Bar. I was like, John's up, so I'm fine. I'm fine. I can let go. I can order a whiskey. I can let go because he's up.
Okay, then. Awesome.
Good times.
Yeah, totally.
Looking forward to more of those days.
Yeah, they'll come. We'll just have to hang in there.
I knew you were going to throw that one in.
A standout track. Does anybody have a favorite track of the year? I don't. So
many.
Maybe many.
Lot,
no, you can only name one.
Yeah, wow.
You can only name one.
I don't have one.
My highlight of the year was
Go
what?
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
well, my highlight of the year was not a track, but it was basically the whole connection with jamming with people here and doing the knob twiddlers.
That's also cheating, man.
Yes,
That's
it's
not one
cheating.
track.
Okay, I'll shut up. No, but I mean that defined the year for me, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Okay,
True.
no, not a track. I don't know what a track. Even if I had one, it'll be a different one when I think about it in an hour or in a day.
Yeah, that's a difficult one.
Yeah,
That's a difficult one in general. Any time.
That's a
Really.
difficult one in any year. This year, where I feel like, and as Jeffy mentioned also, there's been more output because people are just hunkering down and making a lot of music. And there's been so much good stuff coming out this year. And I've tried to
The question
stay on
got
top of all
broadened,
of it.
so
Yeah, I'm
it's easier to
overwhelmed
answer
by
now.
so much good music this year. I'm trying to think of some things to throw out there. But come back to me maybe if anybody else wants to go first.
I've come across a lot of really good ambient music,
Yeah.
especially through Bandcamp. I've discovered quite some. I wish I could remember the name, but especially there was a band that don't exist anymore who did a lot of sessions back in the sort of 2000. And if you really, I'm not as into the ambient scene as some people are, but if you're into that particular kind of vibe, then you would know them. But I think that's a good proof of the internet. I just kind of discovered them on Bandcamp, but found out what I was listening to was like 2000, and the band didn't even exist anymore.
Okay.
So it's like, oh, wow.
Are you going to say what band it is, or are you just kind of go like?
No, I'd love to say, but I can't remember.
Oh,
And,
I love the
okay,
idea.
okay.
I love the idea.
Which you kind of, yeah. Sorry,
I thought it was some eclectic build-up to something.
I know it was a great build-up, but sorry, I can't.
Fantastic.
Well,
They were from the States.
Oh, them.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah, you know them. It's a small
yeah,
country.
that one.
It's
Yeah.
just around the
That's-
corner from North Carolina.
Were they doing empty?
Yeah.
Boven laken linksaf.
Yeah.
Right?
I'll look them up again. I'll get the message. I'll put it.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Would you be able to email that to me? I might have something in return.
So it's bartering now, is it? Send me an email. You send me a track.
Well, I can't remember a track, but
Okay.
kind of connecting to what Jochem said. The live jams here, there was one album that we played a lot before and during the Sauto Soup dinners and stuff, during the preparing for the live sets, which was the Parker album. I can't remember any single track, but the whole album as a thing was something that was played here a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think that's the one that stands out to me because it's both connected to the live jams, but it's.
But it was not released. It wasn't released this year. It was last year.
Was it?
Yeah.
Then I'm also cheating.
Sorry.
Well, it didn't happen in 2020. Nobody said it had to be released in 2020. It just said, "What's your favorite?"
True.
No cheating.
Okay.
Right.
Robin, do you have one for Steve?
I have not necessarily tracks or albums, but I have several musical moments from the collaborations that I did that I found great. Some moments that we had during our Easter set, for example, our live jam that we did in your studio, Jochem. But also, for example, some moments during the 8.5 hour live jam, the Stay Home sound system number 20. But also in Berlin, for example, when we were all playing together, and I remember some really, really great moments where at the gig in Else, where things fell really nicely together. And those are some of my favorites.
That's good to hear, man.
Yeah, but also like the thing in Berlin.
I'll say something nice back to you because you were really great help getting this Ninjam thing on its feet. With finding out how everything could be routed and stuff. So I think
my pleasure. Yeah.
It made a lot of new things possible as well. So pretty cool.
So something from this year kind of jumping.
Well, my label was 20 this year, which was exciting for me.
Congratulations.
If I may be so blunt to maybe be proud of 20 years.
Of course. It's something great to be proud of. Absolutely.
Yeah, no. I released a compilation in December. Actually, it nearly didn't make 2020, although it was called 20 in 20, so it's quite risky. And it was very joyful to work with artists that have been since the very beginning with me, but also like inviting loads of new people, also for the future releases, and making connections with the younger generation was something I've been putting a lot of effort and time in the last 6 months, and stumbled upon so many great artists. So yeah, I found that very exciting, and it really got me out of my comfort zone because I needed to really kind of do that, and to be able to put so much effort in my label, I found many new upcoming artists that need to see the daylight, and I'm just very proud that some of them I can push into that world, and you get so much back from it. So I think that's a highlight for me, really.
You're making them classics.
They're all classics for me, definitely. I'm really 100% into what I release. Otherwise, I wouldn't do it. And it gives me a really fun, 20 years to look back at, and to see what I've released, which wasn't massive amount, but like it's great to do and more to come. So that was my highlight.
Yeah,
that's great.
So,
Steve?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, music-wise, I didn't discover much. I went to the old stuff, like earlier mentioned Steve Reich and Terry Riley. I sort of discovered them this year because I was hearing those names a lot and decided to look them up. So I actually went backwards. Even classical music, I went into that direction a bit more this year. And I barely heard any, let's say, new stuff in that sense. And yeah, highlights. I mean, there was a few highlights, and the live we did together was definitely one of them, because I discovered a new side of myself, which I mean, I was never into live, not at all. I was actually always holding it back. My agent was always saying, "Oh, you have to go live," blah blah blah. And I was like, "No, I'm not interested." Until the thing we did together, I was all of a sudden inspired to do it. And
yeah, but
it was one of the good things.
But the thing is, you know, I mean, you've never done it on the stage, but your studio process is pretty much that, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
So it is what you've been doing for all these years, you know. But instead of you know, choosing like a moment afterwards to make it your product, you basically reveal the whole thing, the whole process, how it's done, and how you move from scene to scene and stuff like that, you know. So it's interesting.
And like I said, definitely on the fly. I don't want to have it that I have to play my old stuff and prepare it and blah blah blah. I just want to go on stage.
No, just improvise. Yeah, exactly.
That was the charm of the whole thing, that we all of a sudden end up in an ambient, offbeat kind of thing, and you're like, wow, those were the moments that it was like, wow, what's happening? You know, that you get inspired by anything weird that's happening at the moment.
Well, that's what I also said earlier, that those moments were definite highlights for me, that things fall together with people that you were jamming with. Like what I said in Berlin, we were like with 5 or 6 people jamming together, and then you had these moments that just came to life, and yeah, I love it. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, when there's something that came out of the year is that people like us, you know, who are jobless basically, have found the time on to go back to the things that we are not capable of showing to a crowd very often, you know. Like sort of more like improvisation type stuff, you know. I mean, several of us are playing live and do that a lot, but it's in a way still a rather controlled thing, you know. You have some preparation beforehand, and you do
in a certain frame.
Yeah, you know, you're not gonna go off into weird zones too often, you know, unless you feel really comfortable to a crowd that you know, in an environment you trust. But you know, in a studio with only people watching on the stream, which you don't really see or feel that much as being in a crowd, you tend to be way more flexible and free to improvise and to, you know, to go down into directions you would probably avoid.
It shouldn't be like this. It should be on the dance floor as well, in my opinion.
I totally agree, Steve. Absolutely. Yeah.
No rules, of course. No restrictions. Just do it.
Of course. But it wouldn't work in all environments. I think it would be very good in a club, in a more intimate setting, or maybe on a stage which is announced to be such a thing, you know, like anything can happen kind of thing.
Yeah, but you have that name. Stoor, if people would book Stoor, they know anything could happen by now.
Of course, I mean, but that's what already happens, you know. But none of them have actually taken place, except for the German one, the one in Berlin. There were a whole lot of these things booked. Yeah, I definitely want to take the whole thing on the road for sure. But
that's great.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a whole side of you know, of a lot of artists that people are not familiar with, but they are definitely capable of doing so. But it's been somewhat hidden, if you know what I mean.
I was going to also.
But then it's also a challenge for you to bring it, no?
Ooh,
and it's
what do you
a
mean?
challenge for you. That's a great challenge for you to once the whole travel thing starts again, that you can actually through the whole concept present anybody joining into
Well, I
the
mean,
whole jam. That's
could
great.
be it could be done with people near the location where this event takes place. It doesn't always have to be one group that travels around with the whole circus, but it can be the same thing, same concept in different locations with local people, basically.
Yeah.
I think it's a cooler idea, Jakob, because then you're like bringing back a more local scene, and bringing
Exactly. Exactly.
the direction we need to go in, especially right now.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's wait and see what happens.
Yeah.
I'm up for it. Let's go. Speed test on the road.
Tokyo.
Next stop.
I thought we settled on Greenland to find new town.
Antarctica.
Ooh,
That'd be
that's
cool. Though.
great. Ooh.
Atlantis. At the bottom of the ocean.
Atlantis.
Might be difficult with all the electronics.
We'll find a way.
Good drive there, right over the ocean. The van. Ferry.
Okay, so we talked about our favorite tracks, our resolutions. I think maybe we should end with stuff we want to plug, maybe something people should be aware of, the things that we've done this year and want to make people aware of, like labels, records, remixes, projects, upcoming things.
Promote thyself.
Right. Let's go the same order as in the beginning. So to my right, still looking very nice in lighting in the studio.
Yeah.
There
It's over again. Yeah.
300 BPMs. Yo.
Well, I have a track coming out again. I have a track coming out, a compilation that I can't really say right now. I'm working on recording new music, so I'm sure it'll find a home soon. But I'm trying to think of what else. Well, me and Roadhot just came out with our EP.
That was killer. That's a killer one, by the way.
That was probably my highlight here.
I love the process you guys had with creating the sleeve. It's just very lovely.
Oh, thank you.
It's really cool.
It was really fun, and that came about a collaboration about buying Knob Twiddlers. So that and our Stoor jam, those were definitely the highlights. So everything came out of Knob Twiddlers.
Awesome.
Did you meet Mike through Knob Twiddlers?
What's that?
Did you meet Mike through, or got talking to Mike through Knob Twiddlers actually?
But he was to, like, with his new label, it's all collaborations, not going forward, but and he hadn't really, we knew each other through John actually, but he was thinking about people to collaborate with and song in the show.
Nice. Cool.
So yeah, nothing and everything is coming out.
It feels like that, right?
Yeah.
I can turn on my throat, right? Okay. Forget how to do it. Okay.
Yeah, let's settle on red.
Ew.
So what about you, Luke? You have got anything you want to make people aware of? Anything you've got coming up?
I do, because I just finished. Well, I didn't just finish it, but it's due out soon. Which I did a remix for Ghostly in the US.
Oh, nice.
Heather Pearls, and it just came out really well. And it's quite a heartfelt remix, and it's very long. And yeah, no, that's the next one coming up, and I'm just really pleased with how. I probably wouldn't have done the remix in that kind of way if it wasn't for having the sort of situation we had. So that's the next one coming up. There's quite a bit coming out on the label next year, so I've been working on that a lot. And there is music coming out next year from me, but maybe a bit too early to announce some of it. But I did remix wise. It's been interesting because I did a remix for Scuba, remix for.
That was also a very long one, or at least
that was a long
version.
one as well.
Yeah.
Plus a short one. And I've just finished a remix for a classical composer in Germany.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Which was really interesting. So right, electronic but kind of classical, and so that was different. I kind of really got into like remixing stuff that wasn't, a straight techno remix, something a bit different because you can.
Yeah.
So that's what's coming up, and then next year, the fruits of labour should be out. So that's what's coming up.
Awesome.
This year's been busy. I mean, I know, I haven't actually had to travel anywhere, but I was quite amazed how busy it is. You can be just, without it. It's crazy. Yeah. It's
Keeps you sane though.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah.
That's me.
Yeah.
Awesome. Steph, you've got anything you want to plug?
Yeah, actually, I do. I've been waiting 3.5 hours to tell you this.
Nice.
If Luke gets my carpet on time, it's all depending on that, actually, right now. So, Luke, my life is in your hand. My musical life's in your hand. No, bam. We moved indefinite to Portugal, also my studio and Virginia's studio. So we're merging 2 studios into one, and we found this amazing little building for it opposite where we live, the other side of the valley, and that's going to be more like a creative hub, also to give something back to the Portuguese scene, because electronic music definitely needs a big push in Portugal. And I think one of my lessons that I've learned from many people in the music industry is if you move to another country, you don't just take, but you try to give something back. So we have set up a couple of really interesting concepts for people to come and work here, and also trying to see if we can build a platform for producers in Portugal that need help and connect them to the international scene a little bit more than what's happening now, which is a big task. It almost feels like I'm applying for a job at a bank that I'm not, and I haven't even done my own taxes kind of thing. But I'm really excited about it because it brings me back to zero and have to kind of like put all my effort in it and
build.
Really build and bump into situations where people are asking like, so what's your financial plan and what's your this, and I'm like, okay, hold on. But I have I'm part of a group of 4 women that are doing this with me, 3 women that are doing this with me, and it's not that we're going to find something that hasn't been done before, but we're going to we've got the opportunity to do it because we found this amazing building. And as some of the people that know me know that I have got quite a big studio for it as well. And it's a beautiful place. It's connected to a national park. It has loads of great options to eat local organic food here. We're close to the sea. So it's more like, it's not so much like, okay, I'm coming to work here, but you can connect yourself in many ways as you like. And so it's also an invitation for people that want to come and collaborate, but also we definitely want to reach out to people that need a push. So it's going to be a bit of a mixture of a few ingredients. So we're actually renovating because it needed a little bit of a touch up. Waiting for my carpet. Luke's on that, so that's good. And new windows and stuff. So it's a massive jump into a big cold ocean, but let's see, why not? I mean,
it sounds amazing.
Good to do.
That's quite inspiring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Starting
it's
something
neat,
new.
yeah.
Starting something new is always more interesting than keeping existing things on its feet, I guess.
Well, when I first got the invitation, Jochen, from you to be in the not Twiddler session, you said to me like, "Oh, I can really feel the vibe," and that was for me. That was very inspiring when you were all like straight away going like, "Yeah, that sounds amazing," and I think it's one, it's a very like positive stimulation that you're doing something and other people see the value in it and go like, yeah, that's amazing, because I know it's going to be a lot of work, and it's difficult for us to get financial support because Portugal's not such a big wealthy country. So yeah, I don't know, it kind of
It's great.
I need a lot of positive energy to keep the train going, but let's see. But once it's up and running, I'm up for this live sync thing, and
let's do it.
Let's roll.
Absolutely.
Promote the new place with it as well.
Yeah, exactly.
And
it sounds,
it
sounds like a really valuable project.
And it goes without saying that anybody who's in the Not Thriller session is very welcome to always come and have a look, or if you want to jam and holiday or jam.
I mean, you have all the key things in place, good food, nice climate, and a studio.
Yeah,
Who doesn't want to be there?
And a fireplace. And we got a fireplace as well.
Okay,
There we go.
And a roof terrace. Yeah, it's all very.
And hopefully some carpet at some point.
I'm on it.
Mr. Slater. That was my story. So
must be a heavy weight.
Here we go, Steph.
Our friend
Here,
Cedric is
boom,
asking where
see?
you can donate to the project. Maybe you should set up a Patreon or something.
Yeah, do a Patreon page.
Yeah,
and it's
a great question.
Work it out. Yeah.
Actually, if you set up a Patreon page and document your progress, you'll get people. You give people a chance to follow your steps into this new project, and
yeah, that's a great idea.
If they appreciate what you're doing, or they just like to see you succeed, they can just give you
They can just donate.
some support. Why not?
It's a great.
We can help
Why
you
not?
set it up. Easy.
Boom.
More donations. Here we go. Here, Steph.
But it will be visible online soon. As soon as now I've only posted a picture of a dead snake that I found on the entrance.
Yeah, I saw this.
But many more to come. But anyway, thanks for letting me have the moment. Back to Steve now, I think.
Steve.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a lot cooking and nothing. A lot of remixes coming, but they keep being postponed because of 2020, of course. So it's hard to say dates. I'm trying to finish some albums on Parallel 9, Steric Electronics, Sterak, Steve Duffy. There's a lot of more musical stuff coming, I guess also because of 2020, and I just went a bit more back to the old days and more chords and more melodies and things, because that's what I've been feeling this year. It's harder for me to finish dance floor stuff, but actually the only one that is coming out, and we've been speaking about it how many years by now? 2-3 years, look. I think, and a Mode Evolver EP that's coming probably somewhere in the coming year.
Yeah.
But I think we've been talking about it for 2 years or something.
Well, I'm really pleased because that track. I mean, I think we were in Belgium. Or something. We're playing a festival in Belgium, and Steve was playing. I just came. I said, "What is that track, man?" He goes, "Oh yeah, I did that track." Never released it, so yeah, that is coming out next year on the label. It's a good EP, man.
I think that's also my first release since years by now, because I was sort of stuck on traveling and remixing for other people. So for me, it's also like, okay, finally a whole EP again for myself coming.
Someone's asking if there's also new drag stuff coming out.
It might, because I'm just. It's not for me like how Steffi said that I have this focus that I just silence myself to work on an album or an EP. I just make stuff, and whenever I feel okay, I can collect these to have an EP, then that's becoming an EP. But I'm thinking about it. Even some sculpt stuff I have in mind because a lot of people have been asking me about it. Some stuff might happen, but there's just no time signature to it yet, and I just let it flow whenever it comes and whatever comes first. Yeah, and there's a lot of requests for old stuff that I released early 90s and early 2000s that might have a repress or a re-release for the coming period. So that might be interesting for certain people as well that have been asking me a lot for certain tracks to be re-released. And some of them might be.
Okay.
You've always got these little slices hidden away in the cupboard, Steve.
Yeah. Recently, I checked some old Dutch that I needed to find for releases that people wanted to re-release. And then in between, you're listening and you get stuck with finding old stuff that was never released and that you even forgot yourself. So
You have a whole bunch of Steric electronic tracks that I've never seen released that I once had on a CD.
yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
Actually, one got released now on a Christian Electro. When he
But
asked.
there are at least 6 or something of them.
Yeah. I remember.
We should talk.
Get your hustle on.
We talk in
Boom!
So up to Robin.
Okay then. Well, I just had 2 remixes out for a Portuguese artist. I found some details. A friend of mine, I had 1 remix out for an Italian friend, MTD. I just signed a new EP on a label, which I'll announce when I know the release date. I'm also working on a lot of dance floor techno music. That's been going on all the time, and I'm slowly working on an album. But an album, I want an album to tell a bit of a story. So that's a bit of a slow cooking process. So I'm not gonna hurry on that one in any way. So
not dance floor oriented.
I don't know yet. Some of it can be, some of it cannot be. I still need to see a bit in which direction it's going to go. But I'd like an album to tell a bit of a story and not just put like 10 or 12 tracks just like that on it. So that's why I'm really taking my time with that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
You let it
But
mature.
you had something, no?
Yeah,
already.
exactly.
But when I spoke to you, when I saw you in Berlin, you said you already started, no? With the whole,
I started on it. Yeah.
Cool.
But this is,
Nice.
it's at the moment it's kind of a slow cooking process. I need to have my idea, take shape a bit more, and once I have a more clear idea of what I want to do, then I'll go all in.
Cool.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
So should I ask Fritz and Sander what's coming up for you?
I will steal your plug if you ask me, to be honest.
Probably some Stoor records, I think.
Okay.
And well, whatever. But sometimes I also sometimes I have the time to put something here on the table, and who knows, then I will bring it out one day.
Yeah.
So it's okay. Yeah, that's easy here for me, so that's cool. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, should take more time to jam in, just have fun in-house inside joke kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, but was exactly. Okay.
Do I
Right.
know?
Yeah.
Do I steal your plug? I would just say, we've been doing this podcast like the entire year, Jochem and I did, and a lot of other things and jams. So check out the Patreon page we set up if you want to support this project, so we can keep doing it in 2021.
Yeah.
That's pretty much all I want to plug, to be honest. And I also want to thank everyone that's been watching and supporting this entire year, to be honest.
Absolutely.
Because there's been so many people that have, sent kind messages and been participating and meant a lot, kept us going. So that's cool.
Yeah, it's the same for me. Yeah,
Awesome.
thank you.
Absolutely. Cool.
Let's head to the man with the moves on
Man with the
that
moves.
side.
Well, thank you. As for me, I mean, this past year, incidentally, playing live with the Stoor crew was certainly highlights, and that was my first time performing live in front of an audience.
Okay,
ever.
cool.
So
With a saxophone
as
well. On top.
As well, yeah.
Well, actually, I should say it was my first time performing live techno. I've been in a noise band and I've played saxophone and bass and clarinet a long time ago before audiences, but first time performing kind of live as a techno performance in front of an audience with gear, and it was a lot of fun. And thank you all for including me in that. Colleen and I also actually technically played my first live set then ever in front of an online audience for a stream that we did.
In front of a camera.
In front of a camera, yeah. And that was definitely fun too. And I released my first part one of my first album this year. That was a highlight, and it was great to see that come out. And so, as it may allude to naturally, that was part one, so stay tuned. And I had a remix out also of Eddie Hale on Odd Even, which the vinyl is hitting shops now, actually. There's a little delay, but that's out there now. And yeah, looking forward to what comes next. I'm working on new stuff all the time, and happy to keep going. And again, also actually have to say thanks again to the Stoor crew for this podcast this year, which was a wonderful thing to tune in and connect with all of you here tonight and have a conversation, and also the other podcasts throughout the year where there's a lot of knowledge sharing and stories and anecdotes, and it was really, really nice. So that was also that was very special about this year. So thanks.
Awesome. Well, thanks for the nice words.
Yep.
I mean, this has been our Wednesday nights, or our night at the pub, just chatting to people and no, seriously, without the drinking usually, but it's been just really nice to connect with people and just have a chat with inspiring like-minded people. Stay in touch like this. It was very awesome. So thank you all for participating.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Well, then I guess, let's say
Are you
thanks
not
to the
plugging
audience.
anything?
Well, Sander just
You had a release today.
This has been one 3-hour-long plug for our project. Talking about what we do for the whole podcast, I guess.
But you had a remix out today, Jochem.
Oh yes, of course. Yeah, I did a remix for our friend Sergio from 30 Drop Records. And he asked me, he was on the show and he asked me to do a remix. And one of the good things about this year was that I could finally say yes to a request like this, because normally it's like, I don't have time to fit it in, but it was a very spontaneous thing, and it was a really great guy to work with. It's out on 30 Drop look on the 30 Drop Bandcamp. It's a 10-inch vinyl, pretty cool. So if you want to check that out, I suggest you go there, and I encourage you to have a listen. Sergio deserves it. He's a really good guy. I've been playing his music for ages, and very talented producer. So shout out to Sergio. I guess that's it for today, people.
Okay.
Thanks again for joining in, and I had a really good time. Thanks for the audience for tuning in, and I hope everybody has a wonderful New Year's Eve and great 2021.
Absolutely.
Happy
New Year all.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Ciao, ciao.
That was awesome.